listen to your argument, but you're wrong. Okay.
It says we are live. Shall we trust it?
I don't know. I'm waiting
No.
for an ad to come up.
I'm getting an ad for
there's an ad. It's about to
Tell
get
Us.
loud. Oh gosh, I got an ad for underwear.
Well,
Wow.
okay, yeah. Says we're live.
That's awkward, YouTube. Why would you?
All right.
YouTube making it awkward for everybody.
I mean, I guess I didn't have to say it. It's frozen on my end, though. I will say
Is it
that.
frozen?
Oh. Is it?
I don't know if y'all is, but mine
It does
is.
seem to be frozen.
Oh,
And we all
think
look so unhappy.
I know what it is.
It's serious business.
Okay, one of them came back.
Okay, now it's good.
Oh, nope, and it froze. Okay, it's being picky.
It's a bit. Yeah, it's.
No,
Yeah,
it's because
intermittent.
where it's for some reason, if there is a window that is full screened, it automatically freezes the Discord for some reason. I don't know why. But
That's weird.
Should be fine now. Hello everyone, welcome to the Hylian Gamescast episode 179, as I am told. Today we have the one and only, the Geek Apprentice, and that guy who the FBI needs to find and set me free, Capt Bergerson.
Hello.
They'll never find him.
No,
You'll never find me.
they can follow the scent of waffles and French toast.
That sounds yummy.
French toast is good. Well, I won't lie.
Yeah, so Daniel, you picked out a few of the news stories for today. What are we going to be talking about?
Oh, just, what's in the title here. Some beta stuff that got unearthed. Shout out to people on Twitter that did it and not me. And Nintendo issued an apology, which is hilarious. And also, there's some trivia coming up, so
Trivia!
that's fun.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is someone else may have a chance of winning.
Yes, because everyone's all, and by everyone I mean Jessie's all, Daniel wins all the time. It's not fair. So I made the trivia this time, which means
It's not
I
fair
can't
that
win.
he's good.
Right? But this time I made the Kahoot quiz, so now I cannot win because I can't participate.
Yes, Daniel.
So,
how dare you
someone else has
study?
a chance at the crown.
How dare you study Zelda trivia like it's a major at a university?
Yeah. Boo on me.
Do you want to start us off
what do you
with
want to
the
start with?
the Link to the Past? Do you want to start off with that?
Okay, sure. Let me just pull it up here because it's pretty cool, and also I'm not very technical per se. There was also some VHS capture stuff of some new beta Zelda stuff that got found recently. It's only like something like 300 frames, which is not that much, like frames of new footage. But someone got their hands on a prototype VHS that had some teaser footage. 𝗏𝗵𝗃 is their username on Twitter, but I think they are part of Forest of Illusion, which is a preservation website. So they had some Ocarina of Time stuff, but the main thing was the Link to the Past assets. Some new beta assets got found, and the color palettes are a little messed up. Actually, I'm going to post in our Discord chat the actual thingy so y'all can see it.
Yeah.
And if Jessie wants to put it on screen for people to see, just in case. Doop-de-doo. Anyways, Darkling Gale and Mr. Tilda are my sources on Twitter for this, and they shared there's a lot of stuff that's actually in the game as well, but a lot of beta sprites for like enemies that weren't actually ever in the game, and things like that made it into this, and including an enemy that looks weirdly like a Metroid. Don't know why that would be in in a Link to the Past sprite data. But initially when I found this, they actually didn't have the color palettes data, but then it looks like they ended up finding it, and that's why you see as they shift through the sprite sheet, the color palettes will change to the correct ones as they're going through. So it's pretty neat. It is pretty neat stuff. Seeing some disassembled Hinoxes and Moblins, and some enemies that look like weird plant shark things with no eyes, and I don't know what to call them or what their names are, but I don't know. Beta stuff is always cool. A Link to the Past beta stuff is oft overlooked, I find. I find that everyone loves beta Ocarina of Time stuff, but nobody talks about when the beta Link to the Past stuff comes out. It just doesn't set the internet on fire as much, which is too bad because it's kind of a legendary game. But it's cool to see. It's cool. I don't have much else to say about that other than here it is. It exists. Yes. Anyone want to weigh in here? I'm not very prepared here, as you can all tell. I'm still drinking my coffee.
Good. I couldn't see it. The link wouldn't load for me, but it sounds very interesting.
No. I actually had a bit of trouble trying to... it kept on making me log in, but it wouldn't do it correctly. So, yeah. But it's on screen right now.
There we go. It's on screen. Okay. Excellent.
Excellent, yes.
Excellent. Yeah, it's just... I don't know. It's just really neat to see beta stuff like this. Yeah, I mean, A Link to the Past is one of those games that I've just like had forever and always known. So seeing stuff that's like could have been or was in the game at some point, but or like would fit in the aesthetic of the game, but isn't, and is always cool. It's always cool to see.
Yeah, I will try to have a more organized video going through all of this and comparing it to like final assets and stuff like that. I'm sure there's even more stuff in the Giga Leaks that we haven't even been able to find yet because there was literally tons and tons. When a full game on Super Nintendo is like maybe a couple of megabytes or something, and then there's full gigabytes of random stuff that's just in all of it. Yeah. I really like the Zelda 64 stuff that was leaked. But that reminds me, I guess we're ready for the Zelda 64 thing. Should I get on that video now?
Sure. You go ahead.
Well, was there anything else about that? I mean, it's sprites and stuff.
I don't think so. It's just, it's the sprite sheets that, I mean, these are, some of them are sprites that are, like, made it to the final game, but some of them are never before seen, so it's pretty cool. Including some beta, like the items. Not all the items are the same as they are in the final game, for example, so. And the big thing was that the Triforce was an inventory item at some point, according to these sprite sheets and where the data is, which sounds familiar because I think that was also in when the Giga Leaks happened. Ocarina of Time's beta had the Triforce in the inventory, like the pause screen, as well. So it seems like they kept trying to revisit that idea, and it just never came to be until like Wind Waker actually has it properly on the pause screen when you collect the 8 shards of the Triforce. But even that's a little different. So yeah. Anyways, Jessie, go on. Take us away.
I am trying. There it is. Okay, so this is the original. Yeah, there it is. This is the original video that, or not the original. It's one of the original videos that Nintendo showed off of The Legend of Zelda. There's, I think I've sent it to you before, Daniel. There's like that big folder that had all the original assets that Nintendo sent to all the different publications a long time ago. And I was planning on making a video with all of that up-resed and looking a little bit better and everything. But the interesting thing about this video is that it shows, like, as you mentioned earlier, it's not that much, but it's like a few extra seconds, I guess, or like maybe 2 seconds at the most. Yeah, it says there's 365.
And it goes by really fast.
Yeah, there's 365 frames. The game on Nintendo 64 ran at 20 frames. But I don't know what the video is running at. So the video could be at like 24 or something, because that's usually what VHS tapes were. So it kind of works out a little bit differently. Anyways,
also, yeah, I think at this point in development, the game actually ran at a faster frame rate than the retail version, because if you look at lots of like beta stuff, Link's animations are often like, they look more fluid than in the final game. And I think it's because they wanted to develop it for initially for the N64 DD, right? Before they shifted to it being a cartridge and then an expansion and then just a cartridge. Yeah. So at the time, it probably did actually run at a higher frame rate.
It was supposed to use like the RAM or whatever that Majora's Mask ended up using. But I think Majora's Mask runs at the same frame rate, but they used the extra memory for like more stuff on screen and more details and stuff. I don't think I can... I'm watching the clip, and then whenever the Triforce comes up, it doesn't even look like a Triforce. It looks weird. And then there's the... Oh, what is it? The Skull Knight?
Stalfos?
Yeah, Stalfos. What was I trying to think of? Skulltula? That's a spider. Jeez. Yeah, someone educate me on Zelda.
That's Spooner.
Yeah, I think there's the frames of him falling down that we see. There's a different view of where he's fighting two of them, and then there's like what I imagine is early Dodongo Cavern. And yeah, the Triforce just looks really weird. Like there's the one Triforce piece, and then on top of it is just like golden sparkles. It's not.
Yeah, that part's a little weird.
It's like it's
what I find interesting about looking at this is, I know it might be running better, but I'm looking at it, especially having just streamed Ocarina of Time, just being like, this looks weird. It doesn't look right. Because obviously it was before anything was finished, but also realizing that even though to us this might not look that great, other than maybe the quality of it, I suppose, it's weird to think that back then though, in 98, it would have been like, wow, that's absolutely amazing. And yet the final game we got was like even 10 times better than that. Like we were talking about that in stream a little bit of like, for a first, like not even just for a first, but for a 3D Zelda game, but the first 3D Zelda game, so good.
Yeah, and even crazier than that, this I think originally was supposed to come out in like 96 or 97.
They took more time. They waited till I was 3 years old, where I could handle redeads.
Thankfully.
They did what Pokemon should have done.
Yes.
Delayed the game to polish it.
Yes.
I mean, what? I didn't say anything.
That didn't stop them from making a fortune in like 3 days. I think it was like 10 million copies in 3 days or something like that.
I know. It's like, they're not going to learn.
Others maybe.
But I'm guilty. I bought the game too. But like, it just...
I almost wish I had bought it before I saw reviews, because then maybe I would have convinced myself to buy it, or would have been okay with it. But now I'm like, I don't want to buy it. But I have a lot of thoughts on that topic, though.
Yeah.
I was
talking to Tube, who's not here.
Who?
Unfortunately, Tube.
Never heard of her.
We were chit-chatting about it a bit, and like she's actually saying that despite the bugs and the glitches and stuff, the actual like gameplay, she's really enjoying.
That's what I've heard.
She's having a lot of fun with it. But for me, it's just not clicking for me, and I don't know, like it's not gelling the way it should. And I'm like, it on paper sounds like the kind of Pokemon game that I want, but then it's just not clicking for me. And I think part of it is just the controls are really stiff. And after Pokemon Legends Arceus earlier this year, it feels like a step backwards. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked, so I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
I'm sorry.
Talk about that we can, though.
I mean, I don't think we've spoken about Pokemon since it's released, so...
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's not gelling with me for some reason, and this is not to like
needs more gel. 8 out of 8.
Needs more gel. It's not clicking.
Or as IGN once said in their infamous review of which one was it? Sun and Moon, I think. Too much water.
Too much water.
No, it was black and white too. I think
they said that too much water.
Yeah, they gave it like one of the biggest complaints was like too much water.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like they're reviewing Wind Waker or something. Geek, what did you think of ye old Pocket Monsters?
Well, like I said, I haven't played it yet. I try to be careful about which reviews I watch and how strongly I take their opinions. Because like I think I mostly watched Nintendo Life, and I know like Alex was definitely pretty upset about it, but I also appreciated that he was very clear. He was like, the actual gameplay is super fun. It's just this one thing that is such a big part of it and bothers me. So I appreciated that. There's a fly staying right around me, and it's really
His
annoying.
name is Tommy.
Well, I'm going to kill Tommy. But now your video gets demonetized because I said that. No. But my thing, because I know with like, was it Sword and Shield, I guess, a lot of the complaints were like, oh, it's not different enough and all these things. And even though, sure, I would love a slightly different formula, I never really was bothered by that because I'm like, the formula's fine. It's aimed at 10-year-olds. We're not 10 anymore. Just enjoy it for what it is. But the graphics thing actually bothers me more. And I never thought I'd be a graphics or a glitch person. But I'm like, I'm okay with the formula staying the same. Although I think this concept sounds like it was going to be great. Especially since it sounds like Legends Arceus was really good too. But I haven't played that one either. But that one I do still want to attempt to get and play. But anyway, my point being, I'm like, I would have been okay with the formula being fine. But it's like, graphics, really? Like, you're still struggling with this? Like, I mean, I don't want the tree and Sword and Shield, whatever. But it's like, it sounds like these are things that a little bit of a delay could have helped. Am I a game developer? Absolutely not. I do not know. But someone else had pointed out there, like, you know, Pokemon's been really good about always releasing a new game, like every certain amount of years, 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, is that great though? Like, would it have been that big of a deal to delay it by a year or a year and a half if they needed to, just to fix some graphics? Like, that would have definitely enhanced the gameplay for a lot of people. And especially now, it seems like they're trying to apply patches, and all the stuff I'm seeing, again, not from my own personal experience, but just what I'm seeing is that the patch did like nothing noticeable. Like, they can say they made it better, but it's like the average player is not going to notice. I know someone, I think Aaron pointed out in chat, some people are saying that if they have a different, if you install it directly onto the Switch instead of an SD card, it runs marginally better. But even then, it's like, really? You know? But then again, I have to wonder, is this only an issue to those of us that are older and notice those things? Does the intended audience notice the glitches, you know, of 10-year-olds? Which, if they're making money, they probably don't care. But I don't know. It would just be nice for them to fix the glitching. Because if it had nicer graphics and it ran better, again, I would be okay with the same formula. It's fun. But I appreciated they were trying to go outside their comfort zone. And it seems like they accomplished that with Legends. Just delayed a little bit. Or maybe that wouldn't have helped, but I don't know.
It's like the graphics side of things, like Pokemon Legends Arceus was not a beautiful game.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's kind of ugly. It's rough around the edges too, but it's fun. It's so fun. Yeah. And it doesn't like it's the more the performance and the controls that that's my issue. Yeah. Like the graphics I could care less about. I still play on 64 games. So like the graphics, that would just be hypocritical of me to rag on. But yeah, it's just like there's constant slowdown, there's constant this weird bugginess, and the controls are so weirdly stiff. Like you're supposed to, in Legends, you can like toss a Pokeball and you can aim it pretty fluidly, and here it just feels so stiff and so difficult to aim a freaking Pokeball. And it's like, and they took away the catching mechanics that were introduced in Legends, which sucks because I liked that. I don't want to have to do a random encounter and battle a Pokemon every time I encounter one in order to catch it. I like being able to sneak around and just toss a Pokeball, and if it doesn't work, maybe then I'll have to battle it, or I can run away, or I can get murdered by a Snorlax out in the wild, you know? But taking all that away, it just like, it felt like such a regression. It's like, okay, now I have to battle every Pokemon again. and I know auto battles are a thing, but like that's not interesting to me. I don't want the game to play itself for me. You know, you shouldn't have to introduce a mechanic where the game plays itself to make the game less tedious. You should just make the game more fun.
Yeah.
That's that, you know, like, I don't know. So it's just not clicking with me. I love that I'm happy for other people that are really finding joy and finding fun in it, but it's not gelling with me. So
I think when I was saying graphics, that's what I was actually meaning, was the constant slowdown and the frame rate issues and bugs like that. That's what I think I was trying to say.
Oh, you know, I get you. Yeah, because like you were just playing Ocarina of Time earlier today, for example. That game runs at, what did we say, 20 frames a second? But at least it's always 20 frames a second. It's a locked, consistent frame rate. I don't have
a higher expectation for it to run better.
Yeah, whereas if it's like 20 sometimes, but then 10 sometimes, and 60 other times, like if it's like, that's more immersion breaking for me, is when it's like dipping and raising and spiking and dipping. It's like, it's dizzying. I played some Pokemon, and then I went, after I got kind of like done with it for the day, I went back to Splatoon, which is like at a locked 60 frames per second, like no slowdowns whatsoever, except for like menus and stuff, which is weird. But the actual gameplay, never a frame drop in Splatoon. And because of how bad Pokemon's frame rate was, Scarlet's the one I'm playing, because of how bad the frame rate was, when I went back to Splatoon, I started feeling like dizzy. Because I'm like, this game's so fast, you know? Because my eyes adjusted to how bad that frame rate was. It was like, I had to like readjust to it. And I was like, oh my God, my brain's in overdrive watching Splatoon gameplay now. So,
off topic. I remember when the Hobbit trilogy.
This whole conversation was
no. When the Hobbit trilogy
came out. What are we talking about? Ocarina of Time beta stuff?
Yeah, but when the Hobbit trilogy came out, it was at double the frame rate. Like you could, in the same way that you could watch the 3D version, you could watch a version that was at 48 frames a second, so basically doubled the frame rate. And although it should have been a smoother, better experience, a lot of people said that they felt sick or that it gave them a headache or whatever trying to watch it. And it wasn't that it was 3D, like, because there was a 3D version, but there was also the double frame rate version. And I guess like when you're just,
I think it depends how big the screen is though, as well. Like that much movement on in a theater. Yeah. Like I could see that being.
Or like an IMAX screen. There are some films that I would not be able to handle them on an IMAX screen, but other films that I would love to. Like I think I could handle the first How to Train Your Dragon in an IMAX, even though that was still really good for its time. But if it was the third How to Train Your Dragon, which has a lot more realistic graphics, I think I would be mesmerized, but also a little sick.
So Pokemon.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
No. I got off topic.
Let's talk about that. We haven't talked about that.
So I looked up, and it says that it tries to play at 30 frames per second and at 1080p, although it drops down closer to 720p sometimes. And I wasn't able to see what the frame rate drops down to, but I imagine it's in the low teens for it to be that noticeable and laggy. I think they should have went the route that Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. I almost said the Breath of the Kingdom.
Wait, 900p?
Yeah, 900p instead of 1080p. And then, like have it be somewhere between 720p and 900p instead of 1080p and 900p. That way, on average, it'll be running at a higher frame rate. And on Nintendo's, like, congratulations to them for making Breath of the Wild run so much better after one day of it being released. I think it was one day. Because there's that part where you're on the plateau, where you're running down, you first see a bokoblin and the wind's blowing the grass and it kind of slows down a little bit. And that's at the very beginning of the game, and that basically is non-existent anymore. And Korok Forest runs a lot better. With Pokemon Arceus and Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, they were different teams. So maybe it was just the Arceus team was just a lot more talented. Although it said Masuda, I don't know how to pronounce his name, was actually on the Scarlet and Violet team, not the Arceus team. And you'd expect the people more known for Pokemon would be the better team. I was actually thinking Arceus was made by a different team that wasn't Game Freak, but that was the remake that came out shortly before that game.
Food for thought, though. Like, a lot of people say, like, okay, Pokemon wants its like annual releases, whatever, all of that stuff. They don't care about the game because it's basically a companion piece. They got all the merchandise they want to get out. They got this TV show, which, by the way, the TV show comes out like years later. So, like, I don't know why that's why they can't delay the game for that. But here's a thought: if like, at what point does this multi-billion-dollar franchise, which literally is like more iconic, makes more money than freaking Mickey Mouse, at what point do they not outsource? If they cannot make a game that runs it, because make no mistake, sure, the Switch is underpowered, but it should be able to run this game because it's not a gorgeous looking game. Keep like looking at the Switch's lineup. Look at Xenoblade. I'm not a Xenoblade fan, but Xenoblade is objectively not a bad looking game that runs way better and is also a huge open world. So at what point, if Game Freak and Pokemon Company cannot if they do not have the technical know-how or the skills to optimize their game, at what point do they not just outsource? They have the money for it. If they don't care enough, like, just give it to a studio who does care.
Or in the same way that Nintendo has Monolith Soft help them with like Breath of the Wild and stuff. They should have Monolith Soft, since apparently
Monolith Soft did assist with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Did they? Oh
they
my
did.
God. I'm gonna have to look this
they
up.
They did.
Maybe it was just like the engine. Like,
maybe, I don't know.
They got so far into the game before they were like, okay, maybe we should have like.
Monolith has had their hands in a lot of Nintendo stuff lately, though. Like Splatoon and Zelda, and now Xenoblade is like their baby. But then between those and now Pokemon, it's like Monolith has their fingers in a lot of different things. But yeah, they're in there. But it's definitely not them living up to their full potential. You know, like But yeah, they are in the credits. So I don't know what capacity they helped on, but I know they are in the credits. So yeah, it sucks because they can afford to do better. And if people are like, well, we don't want the game to be delayed, then hire more people, get help. Like, you can afford to do it.
Wiki doesn't have them helping on Pokemon. It's interesting.
I think genuinely, like, that if Pokemon took a step back, took a couple of years to make a really, really refined game, like, they would be in a different place. Like sure, this game is going to sell a lot, but it's being panned by people in a big way because of all these issues, right? And I feel like the way that Nintendo was able to propel Zelda into being less niche and more mainstream with Breath of the Wild, like, not that Pokemon is niche in any way. Pokemon's very mainstream. But imagine the cultural explosiveness of it if they actually released the game in a better and more finished state. You know?
Yeah.
The way that Pokemon Go was like a cultural experience, almost. You know? Like, when that game came out, it was like a global phenomenon. Same with Animal Crossing. Pokemon could have the potential to do that. They just need to finish their game first before they release it. Not after.
So the confusion with Monolith Soft on the Pokemon, it seems it was also the case with Arceus. Their team on their website and their, like, on Wikipedia and stuff, their team isn't officially named. It may be named in the credits of the actual game, but it seems like it was just certain staff from Monolith Soft.
Okay.
Instead of how, like, Splatoon or Zelda actually has Monolith Soft as a team listed.
Right.
From what I found, it was just certain staff members.
Not the right ones, I guess.
Yeah, apparently.
But
apparently Nintendo was like, no, we're going to keep them for Tears of the Wild.
We're making Tears of the Kingdom. We need these guys.
Yeah.
Legit, maybe, actually. But I guess that's a segue to kind of the stories that Nintendo actually published an apology for, even though Nintendo is not the main developers, but they published the game. But they posted an apology for the game, which I'll read. A software update for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet version 1.1.0 will be released on December 1st, so it's already out. Please visit our website for more information. We take this feedback from players seriously, and we will continue to work on improvements to the game. More information. It's not okay. It sounds like kind of a non-apology actually when I'm reading it out loud, but they are acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And the thing is about Nintendo is they're pretty reserved. I don't want to say conservative, but like not like politically conservative, but like they're more like reserved conservative.
Yeah.
They don't make statements like this lightly. They don't, apologize for anything.
When was the last time they apologized?
they won't even acknowledge things like Joy-Con drift. So
but
they often have the attitude of ignore the problem and it'll go away. Is how I feel. So for them to actually like make a statement on Twitter and also on like the Switch's patch notes for the game, I feel like is a big deal, and makes me wonder how Nintendo higher ups are feeling about their relationship with Pokemon. If this is how, because think about the way Nintendo releases their games and how polished and how smooth they are versus this now. So it makes me wonder, like, is Nintendo looking at this being like, guys, because they're pretty hands off with Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It makes me wonder. That's all I'm saying. Makes me wonder what they're thinking. Having to be in a position where they have to put out a statement like that. It's like, okay, now you have, as our like friend company, have put us in an awkward spot. I'd be bitter if I was Nintendo.
Yeah. So the last two times that I was able to find Nintendo apologized was for console shortages, and
right. So they're apologizing because like we want more people to buy this.
The Super Mario Game & Watch apparently had some mistake in it.
Okay, that's not that many apologies. It's not that many apologies for all the things they could be apologizing for.
Other than that, I think it's like it's delayed. Sorry.
Yes.
And then 9 times out of 10, it's a Zelda game that was delayed.
Mm-hmm.
And the games end up being wonderful. So it's almost like, well,
you should delay it then.
I'm okay.
What was that infamous quote from Miyamoto? A delayed game is a game?
A delayed game is eventually a game, but a rushed game is a video game. That's the quote.
Which never happened, but still.
That's verbatim what Miyamoto said.
I like the rephrased version. The delayed game is a game.
Yes. A delayed game is a game.
Okay, before we move on, Daniel, this is really important.
Jessie.
What is your favorite and least favorite thing about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Aside from frame rate issues, like actual gameplay stuff.
Okay, legit, my least favorite thing is the controls. The controls suck. They need to develop a game like it's not 15 years ago and optimize their controls. Like,
it's not 15 years ago.
Their menu layouts, the UI is terrible. The movement, the controls are like stupidly stiff. They need to. That's my least favorite thing. Is legit. I feel like the controls are just, they suck. My favorite thing is honestly the Pokemon themselves. As weird as that sounds, like it's just them out in the world and stuff like that. It is cool. It's genuinely really cool. And because like when in classic Pokemon, and this even in Sword and Shield, when you have like random encounters and stuff, it feels like very gamey. And the whole point of Pokemon is it's like it's supposed to be this immersive world, and these are like real creatures. So seeing them just out in the world and stuff like that, and I like that. That's probably my favorite thing.
What they need
this is pretty shallow things.
It's just recall Scarlet and Violet, and then cancel. They can do both at the same time, like cancel and recall Scarlet and Violet, and the new Pikmin coming out, and just release Hey You Pikachu
hold on.
and Hey Pikmin on Switch.
Why you gotta bring Pikmin into that?
Because they both start with Hey You Pikachu. and Hey Pikmin.
No.
No?
How dare you?
Am I the only one?
I don't want to scream at my Switch. I used to scream in my N64.
Did you have that? Did you have the Pokemon or the Pikachu 64?
I had Hey You Pikachu.
Did you have the Pikachu 64? That was like blue
And
and it had-
even when I knew the Pokemon, I'd be saying Squirtle, Squirtle, and Pikachu's like, no. And I'm like, I know it's Squirtle. It's Squirtle. Also, I like this comment from Bree. A delayed game is eventually good, but a bad game will sell 10 million copies in 3 days.
That's correct. It hurts. Why?
It does.
Like that's more than a third of Breath of the Wild's lifetime sales.
Wait,
It doesn't deserve that.
I don't know if this is a reference to, Daniel being a serial kidnapper, but there's a username in the chat called the Basement Band, and I don't know if that's a
do you even
reference.
Basement Band has been around and in our chats for eons before the basement jokes actually started. So
I wouldn't.
they're
call
the
it-
original.
No,
Anything.
I am not
I
aware
would just
then.
call it my life.
Yeah, that's what I said. Anyways, yeah, it hurts that it sold 10 million in 3 days. Like that's outrageous for what this game, the state that it was released in. That's bonkers.
And
It
a
hurts
good
me.
majority of it is people who will always be faithful to Pokemon, which, granted, there could be a subpar Zelda game and I would probably still get it.
Oh, you
So
mean
I
like
understand.
Breath of the
Animal
Wild?
Crossing, I would still get it. And then all the 10-year-olds whose parents know Pokemon is a children's video game that's generally clean that any strict parent wouldn't have to worry about.
Right.
But that's the annoying part. But again, that's the part I keep trying to emphasize. The few conversations I've had is I'm like, look, I understand it's geared towards 10-year-olds, but that's not an excuse to send out a
Well,
bugged game
10-year-olds
that needed a
deserve
little
better.
bit more polish. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, even at 10, we would have recognized, wow, the game really slows down a lot.
Mm-hmm. Like don't sell 10-year-olds short on. Well, my son's 10. He 10-year-olds can have some pretty well-informed opinions about video games, and they
It does help
You
that
know,
you're this 10-year-old's dad, so he probably knows more.
possibly, yes, but I would say he's
People
probably
are
better than the
stupid.
average 10-year-old at video games, but regardless, and actually, I don't know if I told you, he recently beat Ocarina of Time for the first time, like through a proper full playthrough.
Yes.
But
He's ahead of me.
proud dad moment there.
I'll put him on the Master Quest version of the Shadow Temple and let him have nightmares.
I don't have Master Quest. I would like to get it at some point
You don't have Ocarina of
because
Time 3D?
I don't have the GameCube disc Master
Yeah.
Quest. That's what I do not have. I don't like the 3DS version enough to play Master Quest on that. So
No.
so maybe what Nintendo should do is release it on NSO. Because they've done like the special versions of other games, like on
Yeah.
NES games.
Mhm.
So, there is that. There is that. Scared of Whizbang says Geek wasn't particularly game picky in the late 90s. She was so happy to play any video game when her brothers were at school. That's
Okay,
fair, but also
but
weren't
to
you
be
just
fair, I
saying
was
about
like
yelling
5.
at Pikachu?
But also,
Weren't
I
you
was
just
like
saying
5
about yelling
in
at
the late
Pikachu?
90s.
You could tell when the game wasn't working.
That's true. And see,
Yeah.
I actually do think now that I'm actually thinking about it, a 10-year-old, if they have played some video games, they're not
Mhm.
stupid. Here's the thing. 10-year-olds are unfortunately smarter than I want to give them credit for, because I have some of them as students, and they make witty comments without having too much empathy yet. They do have it. But usually it's my 5-year-olds that'll be like, your hair looks crazy today. I'm like, thanks so much for your honesty. But they're smarter than we give them credit for.
Mhm.
And also, if you have a 10-year-old who's never played a video game, this would turn them off. Most likely they'd be
That's
like,
true.
if this is what video games are like, why am I going to bother? When all they've heard from their friends is video games can be fun. So,
Yeah, that's legit.
That could be a
I
bummer.
knew someone who she told me that as a kid, she never. Basically, the only video games people bought her were like the quote unquote the girly games, like Barbie games or whatever. that were clearly made like without actually any care or thought put into them, as just like shovelware, right? And so that's what they thought. That's what she thought video games were. And so she didn't like video games because she's like, they're not fun, they're not good, whatever. And it wasn't until like an adult that she was an adult that then she like started trying out and playing other games. And it's like that. So what you actually expose kids to can make a big difference. So,
I had Barbie Mermaid on the Game Boy, but I had two older brothers who played Banjo-Kazooie and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and all these other games. And eventually they grew out of Nintendo, if you will, but I stuck with it because if for no other reason, yes, Mom, I threw tantrums when I lost games. Mostly Banjo-Kazooie, but that's just because I stunk and I was 4 years old. So that wasn't
Banjo-Kazooie's hard.
Okay.
When you get to the end of that game,
when you get to the end, if you can make it
like
to
Click
the
Clock
end,
Woods is a hard level. It's legit. Or Rusty Bucket Bay are hard levels. Legit. There's one inside the boat in Rusty Bucket Bay, and there's like this whole platforming sections, and the platforms are like rotating and stuff. It's legitimately challenging.
Oh, it really is. So obviously 4-year-old me didn't get very far in that game, but I got to be exposed to these games with great music and great stories. And I've said it a million times, but it was the music that attracted me to a lot of these games. I loved Legend of Zelda's music, so I would just ride around on Epona to different areas and then freak out when there was an enemy. But still, that exposure made a huge difference. And then I learned that my favorites tend to be things like Animal Crossing, where I don't get hurt unless I get stung by wasps. But so yeah, if my experience had only been like Barbie Mermaid, I don't that or Glover, because Glover creeped me out. I don't like Glover.
That's pretty weird, conceptually speaking.
It's creepy. Even the music's creepy to me.
I mean, it's great that he can go from a video game mascot to hamburger helper, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Batman says, so I should only let my kids play educational video games.
No, the thing is, you know how there was always this rhetoric when we were kids about how video games rot your brain and it's not healthy for you, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Clearly made by people who didn't understand the medium. But then now, like, legitimate studies have shown that kids who play video games grow up to have better decision making, better critical thinking, and better hand-eye coordination. And like things like that. It's like, it's not because you're using your brain, if you're playing good games at least. So like a kid who plays Zelda,
games that's like, okay, all you're doing is thieving this whole time. Maybe that's not the greatest, but you have a lot of great games like Zelda where you're constantly having to problem solve.
Exactly.
You get killed by a boss and you're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? How do I figure out how to defeat this enemy? My usual trick isn't working. Even just the simplest thing like Skyward Sword. I thought I had to shoot the eyeball. No, I have to make the eyeball dizzy. What?
I am bitter about that eyeball. But like, because all these Zelda games conditioned me to shoot the eyeball. And then it's like, no, not this one. Just this one.
Light the torches and shoot the eyeballs.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like just recognizing patterns and problem solving and critical thinking, split-second decision-making, reaction time. These are all things that video games actually help you develop. And even there's things like Tetris, for example, is now being used to treat things like PTSD. Yeah. Because using your brain enough in Tetris and doing that split-second decision-making and problem-solving is apparently effective in treating that and causing less episodes and things like that. And that's kind of incredible to think about because it's pixels on a screen. So,
Mario did have a bunch of educational games like during the Super Nintendo era. There's like Mario Missing in Time or something like that. And then a few others.
Right.
To where it
Mario
was like,
typing.
Yeah, it was like history lessons or something.
Did have some computer games that were education. I did find them fun. And we actually, in elementary school,
Mario's Time Machine.
We had like those giant Apple computer.
Oh, yeah.
Big hunker plastic ones. But that was when I discovered I liked math until it got hard in high school. Anyway, and there were all these math games and they would like play this really catchy jingle whenever you did the thing right, or there would be these random puzzle solving ones. And I loved those. And it got me thinking about things. That's actually, I hope this isn't too much of a tangent because my students didn't understand what I was trying to explain to them. because they were like, we're already on a tangent. It's fine.
Yeah, we're on a tangent of a tangent.
True. And I have to leave in like 10-ish minutes. But
Oh,
I
no.
forgot about that. I forgot I have work. That's a thing. But I was trying to explain to my students because they're talking about how they're like, I'm never going to use chemistry. This isn't something. And I'm like, I get it. I hear you. And you probably won't ever use chemistry if you're not going to do anything in college, or even if you just do trade school or just go right into the workforce. I was like, but you are learning something else. Maybe not. They might have terrible teachers. I was like, but maybe in the process of trying to figure out how to do chemistry, you're learning how do you study best? How do you learn best? And I was trying to explain to them, I'm like, that can be helpful. And I found that in the online video games, the educational games, it's like, maybe I didn't really learn that much, or it wasn't information that was useful to me, but I learned how to study. I learned how I personally learn. And that was helpful for real life.
Right. Legit.
There's nothing of value, quote unquote, that came out of me solving a puzzle in Zelda, but I learned better processing skills.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. No, that's legit. So, video games. Since we're short on time, or since you're short on time, should we do the trivia? The Kahoot?
Yeah. And then after that, if you want, we can cover the Metroid thing when it's just you and me, Daniel.
Sure.
All right.
Now, I don't know what I'm doing.
Talk about
I've never
Metroid
actually
without
used
me.
it.
Don't you know that's like my most invested video game? Can't even face that.
I think I would have to do the Kahoot
Detroit.
thing. Not like I don't have to do the Kahoot, but like I would just show it on my screen as I'm playing. Kind of like we did the last time.
Yeah, let's see if this works. Let me know. I put a link in our Discord chat, so that.
I just need to see the code so I can do it on my phone.
Oh.
If that would be easier, personally.
Game pin. I believe that's the one.
Everyone, this is Kahoot. Go to Kahoot.
Kahoot.it. I think that should work.
And then I will put this over my screen. Daniel, the rules. Do you know the rules? Do you know what rules are?
I know of rules. I know about rules. So it's a trivia game.
I've heard of rules.
And we've got Game Over Jessie and Geek Whiz Bang in here. Lovely. People in the chat can join in. I do want to let you know that there will be a lag because of the stream. So if you're in, make sure to pay attention to your device and not the stream if you're trying to keep up, because you get more points based on how fast you answer. So they're all multiple choice questions as well. Yes, I should share it in the chat actually, so people can join.
Share it in the chat. People watching.
There is a link.
You can log in, or you don't have to log in. You just click on the link on your browser, on your cell phone, on a tablet. It doesn't matter. You can download the actual app, or you can just go on your browser on whatever device. I'm sure if you have like that amazing fridge that played Skyrim that Bethesda showed off a few years ago, I'm sure you could play Kahoot on that. So yeah, you just go to it and you type in the code that he posted, or you just click on the link and there you go. You can log in and play, and then there's going to be trivia, and Daniel made this, so I am very scared.
I think the link I posted broke it up, so I put the pin as well. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully this works. This is the first time I made the trivia, so usually Jessie does it. So hopefully that works. Oh, there's also a QR code. That's
there
neat.
Is. QR codes are everywhere now.
They are. Go to a restaurant, they've got a QR code taped to the table. I'm like, can I just have a menu?
When I grew up,
that's me too. I'm like, sorry to be wasteful, but can you just bring me a menu?
When I grew up, can I be a QR code?
No.
Can I be a QR code? You cannot. No. I'm sorry.
Apparently, Nintendo, Super Nintendo Land, Nintendo World, whatever it's called, is littered with QR codes.
I believe it.
Is it?
Apparently, there's some that if you can like find on your phone or whatever, and it'll be like, you have a 5% discount or whatever for, I don't know, Cream of toad soup.
Poor toad.
Yeah, I don't know, because they're mushrooms.
Ew.
I had cream of mushroom soup yesterday, so it's what was on my mind.
Looks like we have 7 people in, including you two. So we should have room for a couple more.
Yeah, there could be at least 10. And then...
Oh, someone dropped out. It just went down to 6.
Oh.
Rude.
Oh, no.
I am in there, though?
You are in there. You two are both.
Good.
Geek Whiz Bang and Game Over Jessie. And Nintendo Prime. And Tetra and Space Chicken.
Nintendo Prime.
OMG. Yeah, he's in the chat here. Hey, Nate.
Is you playing Geek?
Yeah. I'm Geek Whiz Bang.
Oh, what about other Whiz Bang?
Scared of Whiz Bang? She left.
Scared of Whiz Bangs.
Wait, so if she's scared of Whiz Bangs and you are Whiz Bangs,
that's why she left. She's scared.
My mom is scared of me.
Well, it happens.
I will say as a heads up, I tried to have it so that the first few questions are kind of easy and then they sort of get more difficult as it goes. So just a quick heads up. Some of these I have actually mentioned in like videos of mine or streams of mine recently as well, which is probably how I thought of them. Some of them, actually, Geek, you were just playing Ocarina of Time today. There's a question you might have just by default there because you were just playing the game. That kind of thing. So
see how observant I am.
But it's not all focused on one game. It's on a variety of games. So keep that in mind. There's some Ocarina questions, Twilight Princess, etc. All the way to Breath of the Wild. All right. Someone else jumped in. We have 7 people. Okay. I think this is probably good.
7 is the number.
I think people can still drop in.
As is 3. But
so yeah, we'll just go ahead and hit start. I think, even though we only have 7 people, we only have so many minutes of time. So
yeah, I'm terrified Bonnie's going to beat everyone just because of that name, Space Chicken.
Yes. All right, it's Burger Zelda trivia time.
Is that the name of it? Because I am jealous of that name.
Question 1: which of these games does not feature any Gorons? Also, is this picture showing up for y'all?
No. All it's showing me is this.
No! Oh my gosh.
I can't answer that.
It's just
how
symbols.
do I change that?
It's you have to go into the settings of the question.
Show questions and answers.
You just clicked.
That's it.
Yeah. Well,
we'll have to restart it.
We'll have to go back into it. You have to post another code.
Dang it! All right. How do I quit out of this then? No. Kahoot. You know what? I did it like a practice test because you can do that on Kahoot. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it worked fine for my little practice test thing. So I don't know why Kahoot had to sabotage me like this. All right, I'm gonna close this window.
The answer is triangle.
The answer is triangle. No, I'm so sad.
What's the game pin?
Okay, hold on. I closed it. I'm gonna start it again. This time, settings first. Show questions and answers. Good. I'm so sorry, guys.
How dare!
I'm so sorry. I was so looking forward to this. I feel like y'all now have the answers, or not the answer. Sorry, the answer to that first one now. But that's fine.
If anyone guessed, sure. But
all right.
Can I have your code?
Yeah, put it in the Discord here again. And the new code is... I don't know how to technology, sorry.
The new code is 741.
There, yeah, I typed it.
776.
I thought it would. I thought with the link it would just take you right in, but maybe I was wrong. Okay, settings. Show questions and answers. That's the one I'm guessing. Questions and answers. Show on players' devices. Good. Good. There should be pictures to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait. You made this half a month ago.
Was it? I thought it was maybe a week and a half.
Oh, something like that.
Close.
I thought it was
All right,
2.5
we've got
weeks.
6 people already jumped in.
741
guys.
7416776. 7416776.
Aaron
It's
just
not
put
a
it
phone
in the
number.
chat as well.
Don't call it.
Sieben,
Someone will
vier,
be angry.
1, 6, 7, 7, 6. For anyone playing in German.
Sieben?
All right, we've got the same amount of people at least.
Solid.
I think we would probably just hit start. Oh no, wait.
Yeah.
Shadow Twist just dropped in. All right, now we actually have more people than before.
Woohoo.
Kahoot.
Woohoot.
I love the
Woohoo.
background you chose. It's very
I
Animal
just-
Crossing-esque.
Classic one. It had options. I just hit classic. Okay. I'm triple checking now. Show questions and answers is on. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hit start then.
Yeah.
And hope this works. There should be pictures for all the questions.
If I lose and I'm crying during the Zelda mailbag, no one judge me.
All right. Good to know. All right. For real this time. Which of these games does not feature any Gorons? Should be Oracle of Ages, Wind Waker, Four Swords, and Minish Cap.
I got this wrong. Everyone can watch me get it wrong. I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna guess
You
this
got it
one.
wrong.
There's 2 that I know have them and 2 that I wasn't sure.
I try not to judge. If someone wants to be a Goron, they can be a Goron. I mean, Tingle wants to be an elf, so no, I got it correct.
Got it.
Oh my
It's like
goodness.
5 people got it right. 3 people guessed wrong. 2 people guessed. 5 people guessed wrong. 5 people guessed right. That's what it says. Oh, do we have 10 people in? Okay, great.
Sweet. I'm on
Great.
the podium for now.
Yee. Good stuff. Game over, Jessie in the lead. Wow, you were quick on it.
I thought I
Geek is
got it
in
wrong.
third. Tanika in 7 or second. Not 7. Second. I know numbers. Rorschach in 4th. Space Chicken in 5th. Good stuff. All right, next question. What item is this? And there's a picture. It's small. It's a small picture. Hook shot, switch hook, grip shot, or claw shot.
I don't know.
Know what 2 things it's not?
Well, I wanted to click.
Some elimination.
I wanted to click the grip shot.
That's probably
No!
the close guess. It's the switch hook. Grip shot is a very similar looking item from Triforce Heroes. This is the switch hook.
I'm going to
Never heard of either.
steal all your toilet paper.
Oh no. All right, next. Let's see. Jessie's still leading here.
It's because
All right.
no one got it right.
Next question. Hyrule Castle appears in many games. Which of these games does not feature a version of the castle as the final dungeon? Link to the Past, Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild, or the Minish Cap? Does not feature a version of the castle as the final dungeon.
Again, I know which 2 it's not.
My final dungeon is Forever Daniel's basement.
Oh.
Dang it.
Oh, the answer is a Link to the Past because it is the first and fourth dungeon, but not
I
the final
wondered if
dungeon.
that was it.
Do you
But I
count
was thinking
Ganon's
about
Tower
Link Between
as-
Worlds.
No, it's Death Mountain and
Ganon's
Link to the
Tower is
Past.
in on Death Mountain in the Dark World.
Yeah, okay.
That's the final dungeon of Link to the Past.
Tricky.
Tricky.
Petra
That's
says-
why I put in bold final dungeon.
Hey, I'll bold you.
You are emboldened. Tanik is now leading, then Aaron in second. Jesse dropped down to third. Carlos in 4th. Geek in 5th. All right. Next question. Who is this? Who
Daniel.
is this cat? Louise,
Oh.
Genjal, Mia, or Puri?
Shoot.
This is the most important question on this whole quiz.
Midna is the
Who
answer.
is this?
2 that I was deciding between.
It is
Incorrect.
Genjal,
I was not going to guess Genjal.
Giovanni's cat.
I was
I had
going
to
back
have
and
a
forth
cat
between
question.
Louise and Mia. So
Louise is the white cat. That's Telma's cat.
Louise
And
is
Mia is the remlet in
Bob's daughter.
Skyward Sword. That's also true.
at least I didn't guess Mia. I was close.
Madame Tobin's.
And Puri is the cat in Minish Cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There you go.
On 5th.
There you
I
go.
like
5
the-
people got that one.
I like the evil cat in Skyward Sword.
Mia, the remlet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're technically cats, but they kind of are.
They're like werewolf
All right.
cats.
Had to have one cat question in here, so it's important. What mask does this young boy want? The skull mask, Majora's mask, scary mask, or spooky mask?
Oh, are we? No.
What it's
Are we
called?
going by what he calls it?
We're going by the real name of the mask.
Yeah.
It
I
says
know
on-
there's one that's definitely not it.
Well, yeah. Yes.
It is the spooky mask.
Oh,
Though these could all be considered spooky.
you're spooky.
These are all spooky.
Halloween was 6 months ago. Stop it.
6 months ago.
Yes, I celebrated early.
Very
Tanika's
early.
still leading. Jessie, you dropped off the board. I'm
I
sorry.
can't help it.
But now
These
Tetra's
questions are.
bumped up.
I'm flabbergasted.
Nintendo Prime moved up 3 spaces, apparently. That's great.
He was on it.
Still not on the board, though. Sorry to say. All right. Question 6. Who is this abomination of a character?
Daniel.
Joey, Zill, Zabe, or Orca?
I don't know.
The worst character in Wind Waker.
I
The
never
worst character
bothered
in
to
all of
learn his
Zelda.
name.
Who
I
is
avoided
he?
him like the plague.
That's the right answer. Actually, avoid
Plague.
him no matter what. At all costs,
I got it right.
avoid him. It's Zill.
I got it right.
Though Joey and Orca are other characters on
Orca is.
Upset Island. Zabe is not a character. I made that up.
Zill sounded like something from Wind Waker, but I knew who Orca was, so I knew it wasn't that. Also, her name's a kid with a snot nose Orca.
Yeah, Orca's the old guy. He
Yeah.
old.
Some advice for everyone that's playing. Don't
Mhm.
wait until Daniel says the question and the answers. Play on your screen, otherwise you'll be like 3 seconds late.
Yes, just like Tanika's doing, still leading. But now Geek's bumped up to second. Very nice.
Is it Tanuki? Or is it Tanika?
Tanika.
Oh,
Tanika
okay.
Nuva.
I was
Aaron
thinking
in
like the
third.
Tanukis.
Jessie in fourth. Carlos coming in fifth. Well done. Well done. All right. Question 7. Kakariko Village in Twilight Princess features music that is secretly a remix combining the classic Kakariko theme with what song? Lon Lon Ranch, Koholint Island, The
know,
Dark
because of
World,
your
or
video.
Midness theme? It was in my video, which is coming out on Friday, but you saw it already. Or
I
tomorrow.
saw it
Or
early.
no, not. You saw it early, so you know.
I
it's
That's
in
the
my
only
video
reason
that
I
comes
know.
out on Friday. It's the Dark World theme from A Link to the Past, weirdly.
Because I never would have guessed that
Unexpectedly.
normally.
Totally.
I would have
wouldn't
guessed like
blame you.
Pong or something.
There you go. The Dark World theme from A Link to the Past. For some reason, I don't know why, but it works. It works.
Yes.
Lovely. There we go. Jessie, you dropped off the board.
Well, it's not the first
Dropped
time.
off. Tanika's still leading in a big way.
Oh, okay.
800 points.
I think it's secretly Daniel.
It's not. You think I can run this and also do the questions? I'm not that
I
good
think
at
you can do
multitasking.
many things.
I'm not that good at multitasking. All right. Who is this? David Jr., Tingle, Light, Knuckle, or Ankle?
What?
I told you these questions got hard near the end.
I don't know. I should have guessed David Jr., but I didn't. I was
It is
wrong.
Knuckle.
I just
nice.
guessed.
Ah, very nice.
I like Tingle Light.
Tingle Light. That's the made up answer, the completely made up one. David Jr., Knuckle, and Ankle are all Tingle slaves. Slash
Being
brothers. Brothers slash slaves.
Well, one of them was like kidnapped, apparently.
Yeah.
Geek is now leading. You kicked Tanika off the top spot.
By guessing.
Well done. Geek has a streak with 4 correct answers in a row.
We'll see how long that
played.
lasts.
Well played. All right, the Song of Storms in Ocarina of Time is an example of a bootstrap paradox being infinitely looped via time travel. What is another? The Master Sword in Skyward Sword, the Goron Vase in Oracle of Ages, the Magical Ring in Oracle of Seasons, or the Gilded Sword in Majora's Mask?
I don't know.
No, it's not that. I got it wrong.
I guess the wrong one though.
I did get the wrong one.
I
You got
definitely
the
guessed
wrong
wrong.
one. It is the Goron vase, who you get in the future or the present day from a young Goron, and then it's a family heirloom of theirs, and then you go back in time and you give it to their ancestor. It's
Never played that one.
it is a weird vase.
Mrs. Chicken says too hard.
I just finished a playthrough of Oracle of Ages for the first time. I'm now on seasons. I'm actually really liking those games.
Did you play
My
with
first
the
time playing through
kangaroo?
them. The kangaroo is in it. You get to pick one of the animal buddies as like your permanent buddy, but I picked 𝗵𝗵𝗃 the Dodongo because he swimmies.
Well, that's why we're not friends anymore.
Oh, I like the kangaroo though, actually, because he's got boxing gloves. It's hilarious.
I think
it's
he gets
just
to ride
funny.
in his pouch or something.
You do. It's funny. Those Oracle games are great, by the way. I'm loving them.
You were great.
They need a remake though,
We can be
because the
friends
controls
again.
kind of suck. The controls kind of suck. The inventory management sucks. All right. The scoreboard. Tanika jumped back to the top spot, but Geek is close behind. Then Carlos, Aaron, and Tetra. All right. Question 10 out of 10. The Sanke carp is a rare fish in Breath of the Wild that only appears in one area. Where? Kakariko Village, Hyrule Castle Moat, Laurelin Village, or Lake Hylia? It only appears in one spot, in one area of the whole map.
Where I've caught it. I got it right.
It is Kakariko Village. It is Kakariko Village. 5 people got that right. Well done. Well done.
Second place.
All right. Tetra in third.
I don't think I've ever finished on the podium
Geek in
ever.
second. Well, now you have. Now
Woo.
and Tanika. I thought that one would be harder, actually, but more people got that one than I expected. The fish one. Not bad. Not bad. GG, guys.
Woohoo.
Aaron said I need to replay all of the Zelda games, apparently. I was trying to make it legitimately challenging, so there you go.
Okay.
There you go. Well played. Congrats to Tanika, the new trivia champion.
Congrats
Let's
to
move on.
Geek. She was in
And also,
first
sorry.
a couple times.
Yeah. That's what the G in GG stands for, is geek. Good geek.
Geek.
Or Geek's game. Yeah, there you go. So that was fun.
Yes. Yes.
Trying to have some good ones. Apparently the song or the Bootstrap Paradox one was maybe the hardest. It's only 9% of people got that right. 18% of people got the cat right. 18% for the switch hook. Same with the ankle, knuckle, David Jr. Tingle light question, 18%. And the castle one, 27% of people got that one right. So those were the hardest questions, I guess. There you go.
All right.
Geek.
Well, it's time for me to drop off and get ready for work.
Yes. If,
All right.
Do you want to quickly tell everyone where they can find you? Or just tell them they can click the link in
Yeah.
the description?
That's true. But I am the Geek Apprentice. I make YouTube videos. I'm working on a video right now in which I have a special guest appearing on it. Well, their voices in it. I talk about Zelda, among other things. I have an Instagram, which is also the Geek Apprentice. And sometimes I'm here. And I live stream once or twice a week. Usually you just have to keep up with my community tab, which tells you what I'm doing at the beginning of each week. Because it depends on when my husband is working. Because I don't want to stream when he's home. Personally, I like being alone. Anyway, that is who I am and where you can find me.
Thank you for joining in.
Yeah.
Have
GG
a
on
wonderful
trivia.
day.
Yeah,
Beware of the Goombas.
I will. Very much so. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye. And then number 2. Now what?
I think it has something to do with the mailbag or something.
Mailbag.
Or do you want to talk about the Metroid thing while people...
Oh, sure. While people get their questions ready and all that good stuff. Yeah, let's.
Yes,
Just opening
everyone.
the
So
old
if you have a
link.
Zelda question, comment it below. Nintendo Prime says talk
Yes.
about Metroid. How would Nintendo Prime like to
Let's do that.
join on for the next 2 seconds? Would that be okay, Daniel?
I'd be more than okay with that. Absolutely.
Do we have someone qualified to talk about Metroid?
Well, I could, but also I know Nate like knows about Metroid, and I think either started or worked on the Metroid wiki for a while, for some time, something like that. He says, "I can do that. Hold on." Excellent. Maybe while we're waiting, if you're okay with this, Jessie, if we take a quick pee break so that I can pee and, and Nate can prepare, and then we'll return with the Metroid news-ish story. Ja? Yes?
Yeah,
Jessie?
Yeah, I was saying
okay.
yeah. Sorry.
You said nothing for a minute. I was like, I don't know what he means. All right. Well, I'll BRB.
I was adding the Nate dude. Mr. Nate.
That's
Nintendo
fair.
Prime.
That's fair. All right. BRB.
Hello, everyone. I am Jessie. You guys may know me from popular movies or TV shows known as Daniel's Basement. What a perfect time to show. No, 𝗵𝗃 is not. No. For those that don't know, there is a dog here. His name is Titan, but Brianna calls him 𝗵𝗃. So, yeah, there's that. What's the Metroid news? Well, it's a secret. It's nothing technically new. Metroid. Everyone likes Metroid. Fire, no TV watching. Okay. I know people love seeing pets and stuff on streams, and I'm sure everyone would like to see the pet dog, but this really is not the correct setup for that, so yeah. What I'm interested in is if Arceus, the Pokemon game, came out last year or a couple years ago, I think, had its issues. And this newest set of Pokemon games had even more issues. Then what does Nintendo or Game Freak, the Pokemon company, plan on doing with the next Pokemon game? Because usually they do try to add improvements over time, unless the improvements are just going to be basically the game looking the same, and then instead of graphical improvements, it's just better optimized for the Switch, unless another Switch comes out. What am I playing these days?
Jessie.
Mostly Breath of the Wild.
Jessie.
Yes. Hi, Mr.
Since
Dan.
apparently people are asking to see a dog and you're not, I brought my cat.
That is not a dog.
It's not a dog. I know it's not a dog, but she's a very good girl. If she looks a little grumpy, though. She's a little grumpy. She's like, "Why did you wake me up for this? I was having a good nap."
Good nap, huh?
She was having a good nap.
Nate.
But she's a star. She's famous. She doesn't even know how much people love her. You'll never know. You'll never know. She's looking at her own image in the screen, and she's like, "Who is that cat?" Okay, you can go down now. Anyway. Hey, Nate, how's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good. It's been a hot minute.
Been a while, yeah?
Yeah. I try and pop into your stream sometimes, but then often I do it while I'm like in a hot minute doing other stuff. Like I'll be doing the dishes or cooking, so I'll just like have it on, and so really just lurking. So I don't always chat in.
That's
But
what everybody does, I swear.
Well, it's nice. It's conversational. It's laid back, you know. So it's just nice to have on and listen to, even if I can't always chat in. That's how it be.
Just sharing the stream around here.
Ah. Good plan, good plan.
Good plan, good sir.
Yes.
Daniel.
So should we jump Jesse?
I think first we should do proper introductions. There's probably a few people who are like, who's this guy? Why did you replace the other person with this person? And this person is not
The other person.
Bring back
You don't
you.
need to pay attention to me.
Technically, it could be the same person, but we're not going to get into that.
The man with the professional setup here.
Yeah, really, look at that.
I mean, I do this for a living, so.
do. Anyways, so,
Yeah. Nate from Nintendo Prime. Where can people? I'll put a link to your YouTube and Twitter and stuff in the description below. But for those who may not know, for some reason, like if Daniel just kept him hostage in his basement for years and they had no internet
That is the
access.
thing that happens, I hear.
More often than you would think. So let people know who you are and where they could possibly find you while I type it out and put it in the description.
I also threw a link up in the chat. Because now they give us those @ handles to try to make things easier somehow. I don't know. Apparently it works. So I'm Nate from Nintendo Prime. You can find me on YouTube. Just type in Nintendo Prime or check the link in the description or in the chat. You can also find me on Twitter @NintyPrime, where I'm usually talking about Nintendo, Zelda, or Bucks basketball for some reason. I don't know why I don't just switch my main Twitter account for that, but whatever. I don't like to have to switch between accounts sometimes, so it is what it is. Yep, I just talk a bunch of Nintendo news, and I do my own podcast as well. Lots of live streams. I got a big event coming up for the Game Awards with a bunch of giveaways and stuff. And yeah, I used to know a lot about Zelda. Now I know just enough to get by.
love it. The man himself. The man himself. Also, Natsu says in the chat, having a banger podcast while I'm at work, shaking my head. SMH. We love you, Natsu. Daddy Natsu. Natsu's the GOAT, by the way. Just putting that out there. Of humans.
Natsu's
Humanity.
the GOAT on every channel, I swear.
Yes. This is true. The GOAT of humanity. Yes.
So yeah, Daniel,
Jesse.
I would love to hear more about this goat named Natsu, but could you tell us about this Metroid?
Yeah, so this is a story that comes from Eurogamer, is at least our source, but they have their own source, which is Digino Gaming, who has their own source, which is a former Retro employee. But the story is Retro Studios, who developed Metroid Prime, the trilogy, had an idea and pitched an XCOM-style game starring Samus. The concept was dubbed Metroid Tactics, and it was the brainchild of Metroid Prime developer Paul Tozer. The idea was one of several pitched following the conclusion of Retro's Metroid, that's not a thing. Retro's Metroid Prime trilogy, another which was ultimately turned down. So this is following their Chic game was another idea that got shot down, as well as the Zelda spin-off tactical RPG game that also got turned down by Nintendo. For those who are like, what's an XCOM style game? Think like Mario Rabbids, a turn-based tactical strategy game. One of those featuring Samus or in the Metroid universe would have been honestly dope as hell. So it's kind of a shame that it never made it past the pitching stage. The quote from Tozer is, "It marks the very moment when Samus Aran separates from the Chozo who raised her from childhood, encounters humanity, and then becomes a bounty hunter," Tozer said. The game also marks humankind's very first encounter with the space pirates and the Metroids. Samus would cooperate with an elite team of highly trained Galactic Federation troopers and colorful bounty hunters to stop incursions on several Galactic Federation planets at various locations on planets such as Norian and Earth, and eventually take on the space pirates at their outpost on planet Zebes. Players would have controlled Samus with a squad of other soldiers from Galactic Federation using Wii motion controls because it was a Wii game. They have to have the motion control. Sadly, despite Tozer describing the project as having been relatively cheap to develop, which would have reused work from the Prime trilogy, higher ups at Retro ultimately declined his decision or his idea. So yeah.
Interesting. This one was rejected by Retro, not necessarily Nintendo then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the other games, I believe, were like the Zelda ones, like the Sheik spinoff, were actually had a prototype and then were declined by Nintendo and were shot down. The Sheik one for being essentially half baked. It is too bad because honestly, I love that style of gameplay. The XCOM style. Loved Mario Rabbids. So it's too bad. It would have been cool. Would have been cool as heck. Nate, since you're here and our guest and Jessie walked away, you have any thoughts on this? How are you feeling about this?
Well, you see.
I was not expecting that.
You're welcome. Yeah, when you said I have a professional setup over here, you weren't kidding. I got so many weird things I can do. Yeah, so I love tactics games. I was really into XCOM. Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope is one of my favorite games this year. I did a review of it, which for those who don't know my channel, I don't do reviews. So that's how much I love that game. And I like the original Mario plus Rabbids as well. And I played a lot of the old XCOM games back in the day. And I'm really into these more strategy style games where you gotta kind of think. Another good example of this, I guess, style of gameplay, but more often associated with the grid version of it would be like Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is a very similar type of game as well. And I think any franchise that has battles anyways can realistically work in this way. And did my camera just go out?
It did for a second, but it is back.
I swear.
That's weird.
Computer, if you mess with me right now, I switched to my good capture card. Looking at you. Anyways. I've been having issues with cam links for some reason. So I really want it to happen. I'm kind of sad that it didn't at least get to the point that they pitched it to Nintendo and see what they would have said. Whether or not Retro Studios would have been the right studio to do it, obviously, I'm assuming when they canceled it, there just wasn't enough people interested in the idea within Retro Studio to push it forward. But it is interesting that we're getting so much from Did You Know Gaming, really starting with the Zelda games that they pitched that didn't go anywhere. It really seems like from that point forward, whatever sources they have at Retro Studios is just like coughing up everything. So I wonder what else we're going to hear about, like the Zelda, now Metroid. What's next? Is they pitch some Mario game or something? Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. Anything goes at this point. Because they did Donkey Kong as well, and although apparently that was more just Nintendo saddling them with the IP, but they made some freaking good games out of it. So, yeah, anything could happen at this point. It's too bad because the Heroes of Hyrule game sounded awesome from the pitches they had and the design documents. It sounded so awesome. And I think spin-off games are really cool because I like the idea of being able to explore these worlds from a different perspective other than just Samus, other than just Link, So yeah. It's too bad. This is a little off topic. You mentioned really liking Sparks of Hope. I have a bit of a controversial take for you, and I want to know your thoughts. I think I actually liked Kingdom Battle a little better than Sparks of Hope. Because I felt like the difficulty curve dropped off too much in Sparks of Hope, and it was a little watered down in some areas, a little too simplified. What do you think, though? Do you feel that was a change for the better? Or
I think they made us too powerful. They made us too powerful. Adding the sparks in was really cool, and I like their abilities, but it also gave us a lot more ability to basically overpower everything, even on the hardest difficulty setting.
Right.
Like the original game, it felt like I had to strategize a lot more. I had to care about like what members were in my team. And this time around, I kind of just used the same team for pretty much everything outside of the times that it forced me to change up, and I didn't feel like I ever needed to change up. And I think that that's a disappointing aspect to that second game, is that I was exploring each character less. Even though the first game forced me to have Mario, I was constantly changing out my group depending on the fight to get the best advantage. And I didn't have to even think about that in this one. It's like, hey, as long as I got some sort of healer in my group, I can put anyone else that I want in there and I'm going to dominate. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah. That is how I'm feeling as well. In that I feel like I can brute force through every combat encounter instead of actually doing strategy. So, or strategizing in any way. So it is almost a shame. I still think the game is very fun. It's still a very good game, but I feel like it's missing a little bit of the magic that the first game had. If that makes sense. There's a little bit of charm and magic. Anyways, yeah, this is just a little tangent. I was curious.
I'm still talking. I got microphones everywhere in here, I swear.
There you go.
Sadly,
I believe
have not
it.
played Sparks of Hope.
Why not? Why not, Jesse?
Well,
What are you playing
kind of
these days,
embarrassing.
Jesse?
I have a fear of rapids.
I mean, that's natural.
Okay.
They're horrifying. They're
I don't want Ubisoft knocking on your basement door being like, so you got a problem?
Absolutely terrifying. It's okay.
they are terrifying. They are deranged. I think that's the word I'm going to go with.
They are rabid.
They are rabid, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. So did it say in the article? I had to step away. There's someone at the door for a second, but did it say whether this was before or after Metroid Other M?
This would have been before. So this was. They said, well, they were wrapping up the Prime trilogy.
So do you think they had the idea of letting Metroid Other M happen after that, and they didn't want the two different games in development at the same time or something?
I don't know if that would have mattered to Nintendo, because keep in mind, like, Fusion and Prime released like within a week of each other, and those games were developed alongside each other, one by Nintendo in-house and one by Retro. So, and this was kind of Metroid in its heyday, like its peak popularity, because then you had Fusion, you had Zero Mission come out, classic games being re-released on Wii Virtual Console, the Prime Trilogy, Pinball, the most important game of all, Metroid Prime Pinball.
It seems like they really wanted that XCOM style game, because if they attempted it with Zelda and then Metroid,
they really wanted a tactical game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, it's. I think that it being, or Other M maybe being in the planning or development stages, I don't think necessarily would have impacted it. Nintendo might have stepped in and said, okay, here's some story things you have to change or make, this way to make sense with the story we have. But I don't think that they would can the game for that reason, especially because it said in the article actually that it was Retro's higher ups that declined the idea, not Nintendo.
Yeah.
So
last time with the one Zelda interview they did with the Retro employee and the Zelda game that was not put into production, Dr. Lava, who writes and does some of the interviews and stuff for Did You Know Gaming, sent us some of the details that they didn't use on the Did You Know Gaming video. So I'm going to talk to him to see if there's anything that they left off of this Metroid video. And see if there's something that we can mention, maybe bring him on the next podcast to talk about.
Yeah. Would love to see it. Yeah, they've been doing some... I've actually really been enjoying the work that Did You Know Gaming has been doing lately, because it's not just like random trivia, so much as like they're really doing these deep dives into very specific topics. And I don't know. That's cooler. Because before they were just doing like random collection of Game Boy facts or whatever, for 10 minutes. And there was not a sense of like connectivity. But these are like really deep dive, almost like documentary quality videos that they're doing now. And I know they've said they wanted to shift their focus more to that style. But I think it was the right move. It's paying off for them. So GG to them, honestly.
I'm just glad. Like, digital gaming has done amazing work for so long. I guys remember way back in the day when all they did was post like little meme style facts.
Right.
On the website.
Yeah, on the website.
Yeah.
Now they're like this giant, massive YouTube channel with, a half dozen, partial employees, and it's crazy.
Totally. They didn't hire me though when I applied, unfortunately, but no hard feelings.
They're missing out.
Lots of places have declined to hire me lately in the last couple of years. So,
I'm so sorry.
Womp womp. No, it's fine because actually, you know what? I'm a little relieved in it because I've been able to build up my own channel with that time instead, which gives me a lot more freedom to do what I want to do. So, it's all good. It's all good. I like the freedom.
I don't know. My capture card died. That's why it was flickering.
Nate, since you came on, what is there any specific news or topics or anything going on in the gaming world that you would want to bring up to discuss before we finish off with the Zelda mailbag?
I mean, we have the Game Awards is this week. That's something.
Yeah,
and Jeff really is surprisingly like de-hyping it.
De-hyping it. I haven't seen.
What's a little ironic?
He said it's going to be shorter, which made people excited. But then he said, "But the reason it's shorter is because I have less games to show."
They don't have all the money
comes
from
in part
the Matrix.
If you recall, right after the Game Awards last year, he had this whole big thing on Twitter, like that. What is it? Twitter Voices thing that they do, where a lot of people can jump in, and he had a legit conversation with a lot of creators. A lot of big creators were there, and also like RGT was there as well, and a lot of them kind of gave him an earful about what the Game Awards had been coming, and it's a sentiment I share a lot, where it's it's becoming too Hollywood. I want to see game developers celebrated. That's why it's the Game Awards, and it's that seems like an afterthought between trailers, that kind of thing. So I think he's taking the feedback to heart. I do think that Keighley is legitimately a good human being who's just trying his best. But he's a little out of touch in some ways. Phone calls
from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson talking about
right,
which does not have a video game.
Right,
it's completely irrelevant to the show.
Exactly, yeah, just irrelevant stuff like that. So I think he's just taking the feedback to heart and streamlining the show, which is what I want to see. But ironically, Nintendo's been hyping up the show a lot on their Twitter and on the Switch's news page. They mentioned the Game Awards is coming up. Tune in. So,
which they did not do, by the way, last year.
They did not. Exactly. So I don't want to get my own hopes up. I like to keep my expectations tempered and low. But there is a big part of me that thinks maybe something's happening. Maybe Nintendo's got something up their sleeve or that they want to show there.
It's the most they've advertised it since Reggie left.
Yes.
And that's the 100%. Last time they were really doing stuff. They had Smash character reveals and Zelda there. And then they didn't do anything the last 2 years, which you could say, oh, well, Doug Bowser took over. He's not as good of friends with him, which is true. I mean, Reggie's obviously good friends. He's a presenter again this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I do also wonder that, okay, well, we also have the pandemic going on, and maybe now Nintendo's like, hey, we want to push this. We got a Game Over Game of the Year. We got a number of awards that we could possibly win. And on top of that, hey, if we win Most Anticipated, we also have a release date for that game. So maybe we can actually show it. That would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I kind of feel like for Tears of the Kingdom, we haven't really seen the game.
Right. Not that much, that's for sure.
It doesn't really feel like I know what this game is. Okay, I get it. We're up in the clouds and we can jump and we land on a flying saucer.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need this flying saucer? What does it do that I can't already do?
Well, if it's...
I know nothing. I don't know what the point of this game is. I don't know what's going on. I know nothing about anything.
If we're basing it off of the last Nintendo Direct, we can look forward to it being a giant farming simulator.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? People make fun of that, but I'm telling you, there's someone out there that it's their favorite genre of game and they were in heaven.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah,
Those are probably their favorite direct ever.
for sure. It just feels like if you have so many of them in one direct, they start to kind of bleed together. You know, you sort of lose track. That's yeah.
Can you name one farming simulator from that game? From that direct? Can you even name one?
No, I can't. Wait, the Story of Seasons one. That was, but that's like a big name one. That's why. That was like because that was like Harvest
because 𝗵𝗲 was exclusive to Switch.
All they needed to do for Tears of the Kingdom was show a trailer to where he has a fishing pole, and then I'm happy.
Jesse wants the fishing back.
Just wants to fish all the time.
I mean, it has, aside from Wind Waker, it has more lakes and seas and rivers than any other Zelda game, but we don't get a fishing pole.
We also don't get to go underwater like a lot of other Zelda games.
Yeah, really. It's all Daniel's
That's
fault.
true.
Could be added.
That's correct.
Could be part of
I'll
this one.
say we're 6 months out from release.
I thought you were going to
Tears
say
of the
6
Kingdom.
months from the direct or the Game Awards. I was like, no, it's in like 2 days.
Six months out from Tears of the Kingdom. By this point for Breath of the Wild, we had gone through E3 2016, and we had seen so much more of that game and what that game had to offer. And even some lucky people, including one that's on this show, had gotten to play the demo at that E3 and gotten to like explore the whole plateau. So, which is a tiny portion of the game, but still, it felt like we had seen more and had a better idea of what to expect. Whereas with Tears of the Kingdom, it really has felt like radio silence. Maybe it's because there's less on the line. They know it's probably going to sell well. Whereas Breath of the Wild, it felt like it was their big. It was the only hand they had. You know, it was a big risk scenario, especially with the Wii U on its way out. So maybe that's why, but why they're keeping their cards, playing their cards close to the chest. But it feels like they've just shown a lot less than they had for Breath of the Wild by this point. I do think we'll see more after the new year, like a lot more.
Yeah, I think them not having like an event like E3 where people play it, kind of a damper. Like there'll be a media event that I guarantee I won't be invited to do preview coverage of it at some point, but there's no public event to really play it at. Yeah, like there's no public event to actually play the game at before it comes out, which is very strange. You know, like I know people are kind of used to, all digital. Some of you guys have never gone to these events to play games, but like having PAX and having E3 and all these places to play games, and like we have this major Nintendo game coming out that no one in the public is going to have touched before it releases is very strange. It takes you back to the olden days, you know, when only media was allowed to play the stuff anyways. And I didn't like those days because you get kind of stuck with people who might not even know that much about what they're playing, talking about a game. Because it's whatever employees they had free that day that they sent over to handle the coverage. So it's just, it's weird that we know so little 6 months out, but I also think that at some point they're going to start blowing the game out, and we might even hear too much about the game before because there's not that in-person event to play it.
Right.
And I'm curious when they're going to start that. Like, you know, if they don't show it here, then I feel like they won't start till February. They'll wait till Fire Emblem Engage comes out. Then they know, hey, this is our next big game coming out. We didn't want to rain on Fire Emblem Engage and let it, you know. But I also don't know that advertising a game that doesn't come out till May is going to hurt a game coming out in January. And they've been consistently marketing. For those that don't pay attention to Fire Emblem Engage, they've been consistently marketing that game. Like every day, there's a new tweet, a new video, new information coming out. So for Zelda, they just really haven't started. We've just gotten like a few teasers, and the teasers are cool and they get you excited for a moment, but then like it rips the excitement away, but not letting you know, like, okay, so we're in the sky, but why are we in the sky? What's the point? Like,
Daniel
what is
sneezed.
I don't need to know the whole story, but I should know at least a general idea of why is this different than what I've already played. Okay, well, here's the same Hyrule, but like we changed up the enemies a little bit, but they're still technically the same enemies. Well, then what's the point? Why do I want to re-explore this again? And now there's no towers. So how do I zoom around quicker? What's this? What's that? Like, why do we have another flying thing when I already have a sailcloth thing? Okay, it's fine that some of this stuff can't get answered till you play the game, and I understand spoilers. For people that are already sold, which of course I'm already sold. I'm the Zelda guy, but they might just be like, hey, it's cool. I don't need to know anything until I play it, and that's fine. But for I think a lot of people that got really into Breath of the Wild, almost 30 million people played that game. That's a lot of people that still might need to be like, okay, that's cool, but we need to know what's different. We need to know what's exciting. And then you also have the traditional Zelda fans that actually didn't like Breath of the Wild. There's actually quite a few of them out there. They bought the game, but they're like, no dungeons. It didn't really feel like Zelda. Okay, are you going to add some traditional elements back in? Will there be dungeons? Still don't know. Is it that hard to confirm?
I think so.
So there's just a lot of unknown. We haven't heard any of the voice acting yet, which we presume will be there because it was in the first game. It just kind of feels like each one of the what has it been 3 times we've seen it now. That each one of the 3 times we've seen it was basically like they felt like they were revealing the game for the first time again, instead of giving us information on the game. And that's just a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling that all 3 just felt like a reveal instead of all right, let's tell you why you want this game now. Let's not just tease we're making it. Here's why you want it. And like, I don't feel like they've done that yet.
Right. Nintendo's marketing has been interesting the past couple of years because they've really started like doubling down on this idea of marketing games like very laser focused on just whatever is coming out in the next month or two. Like you mentioned, Fire Emblem right now. It was Bayonetta before, Splatoon before that, right? So it's like they're just laser focused on what is releasing super soon, and that's all we're going to talk about. So I think that after the new year, probably late January and February, then we're going to start to see the floodgates open and Tears of the Kingdom news constantly, and they're going to amp us up for this release by May. That's what I really think. Part of me hopes it's not a hubris situation in which they think, oh, it's Zelda, it's going to sell, and then they don't put any effort in. I really hope that's not the case.
Age of Slams.
I also feel
that's the thing is it worked for Age of Calamity, but yeah.
But even then, like, okay, they put a lot of marketing into Breath of the Wild, and it blew up, and they've never had a Zelda game do that. I almost feel like they know they can't take it for granted. Like, if you look at, and this is one reason why I think, hey, not only is Nintendo sort of advertising the Game Awards, which they haven't really done in a couple years, also the last time they had major things there was Zelda, and you can't argue that it hurt.
Certainly didn't.
So they can be like, and this is the exact audience for Zelda to be there. It last won game of the year at this event.
And had the DLC revealed.
The audience that wants Zelda, we should show Zelda to the audience that actually wants it. So I kind of feel like it sort of lines up where, look at the success of the last game. We now have a release date for this one. Maybe that's why they were holding it back. Remember, we got the real gameplay reveal at the Game Awards back in 2014. Granted, it was probably not the best way to handle a gameplay reveal. I don't know that we needed off-camera.
Nate Bildorf and Bill. Oh no! Yeah, no, that's the one you're saying. Yeah. With Aonuma and Miyamoto.
The first ever world and no direct capture footage. All of it off a TV screen with Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma. Like almost like we're supposed to pay more attention to those two than the game. Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I mean,
you got Link here.
Yeah, my dog's walking in.
Yeah,
I'm flying, honey. She hates how I do my hair.
Oh, that's fine.
Better than
fine. But no, that's legit. That I wish they had actually had direct capture, but part of me wonders if they did it off screen like that to sort of mask some of the game's rougher edges. If you don't get too close a look at it, then you can't see all the imperfections there yet. You know what I mean?
In the one video that I made where I put it through the AI thing, we've seen the golden shrines they had instead of the new ones that are modeled after the champions. Or not the champions, Jesus. The Sheikah
urns, the Jomon pottery.
Yeah. It's like those golden shrine things from the concept artwork, which was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Because I don't think anyone had talked about that ever until you made that video. So
Daniel, yes or no?
No.
Tears of
yes or
the
no what?
Dungus. Is it going to be at the Game Awards?
No. I don't think so.
Why you break my heart?
I'm just trying to keep my expectations low. I don't want to hype myself up for it because, like, that's how I've been feeling with the Game Awards lately. Is like, it's just been like very meh, you know.
If they don't show it at the Game
certainly
Awards,
don't want to get.
if they don't
drawn
Got hype responsibly.
they don't show this at the Game Awards, they can just rename it Tears of Jessie.
Tears of Jessie.
Yeah, I just think it just makes too much sense to not have it there when you know a release date now.
The thing is that Nintendo doesn't do things that make sense. It makes so much sense to show it there, and that's totally why they wouldn't.
But then they did Breath of the Wild twice there.
Because they had all their eggs in that one basket.
What if they have all their eggs in this basket for next year? What if this is the game they want to sell 20 million next year?
Maybe it is, but I agree with you. It makes sense
I
too.
hope not.
I'm just saying Nintendo doesn't do things coming, but yeah, I don't think it's. I think they've got.
The only thing I can
they're in a
think
more
of
comfortable
is,
place now.
Yeah, but what if and I'm just throwing this out here because Andre's Restart won't let me just. I've been saying we're not getting new hardware. We're not getting new hardware. But what if they're dropping like some sort of upgraded system to go alongside of this, like they did with the first one? And they're not going to announce the hardware here, but that's why they want to hype this game up. People get super excited for the launch, and then later when they reveal, oh, we also have this stuff releasing alongside it. It's a sort of a Breath of the Wild situation. I'm not saying they're releasing next gen next year or anything, but
would they show that at Game Awards though? I feel like if they're going to reveal new hardware,
no, but I think they could hype the game up. Like when they hyped up the game back at 2014, that was still for Wii U. They were hyping that for Wii U, for crying out loud. Obviously, 2016 made sense because Switch was already announced, and obviously we knew this game would be a launch game for it. But I kind of think it's one of those that Nintendo, I think they're a bit tepid with the Game Awards crowd because they know it's not their typical audience. And that's why they've done other things like Smash reveals, having like Joker revealed there and stuff like that. Like it made sense because that's the audience that played those games, and hitting on that audience to come play it. I just kind of think Nintendo looks at the Game Awards as it's a certain type of audience, and we've really only got 3 games, maybe 2 games that really hit on that audience. One of it's Bayonetta. We already did that there, and its game's already out. And the other one's Zelda. And Zelda did huge there. Zelda's probably going to be up for Game of the Year next year. It just kind of seems like they think that that's the crowd for that stuff. But I don't know what Nintendo's thinking. Nobody does.
Totally. No one does.
Nobody does. I feel like they were almost more predictable under Iwata. Now that they're under this new guy who, I mean, I'm sure he's done something. I don't know what he's done. He kind of came in after Switch was already a banger, so. Well, guess we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. I know I'm being a bit cynical, but I do hope to see it. I'm skeptical about whether we will, because
people saying
it makes
the Game
so
Awards
much
will be
sense.
good. It's like I'd be pretty skeptical about the Game Awards being.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical.
I think there's some good parts to the Game Awards every year, but I don't think that it's a full, complete show. I think, as people say, they try to make it too much like the Oscars, which is weird when you have a guy that came on that said "F the Oscars," which should mean that you don't really want to be like that. Like don't cater. And I've told Jeff Keighley this email before. I said, hey, try not to cater the Game Awards to like this broad spectrum mainstream audience that's literally been bashing video games for 40 years. Focus on the people that play and make the show for them. Instead of trying to Hollywood it and like try to make this, I want to be as respected. Don't worry about the respect of the outside world that doesn't respect your medium as it is. Don't worry about them. But
yeah, last year it seemed like the Game Awards was basically a big advertisement for The Matrix, and then when the Matrix movie came out, it was basically a big advertisement for the Game Awards.
Yeah,
dude, that was a horrible thing to end. Like, okay, he likes to have a big announcement for the end, but the announcing that at the end, I'm like, really? So a timed demo that doesn't last very long for a movie that isn't going to really have a video game associated with it.
No,
And
did
a demo
you
of
watch
a
that
video
Matrix
game-
movie?
Yes.
Like, the Game Awards was literally the plot point of the first third of the movie, and I was just like, what? Is this real?
Yeah. It just, no. That's not, like, that just wasn't about gamers. You know, it was a Hollywood flex, and I get that Jeff Keighley, you know people in Hollywood, but gosh, like, you gotta end, like, look, if you only have like 3 big games to talk about here, one of those big games has to be the final one.
yeah.
My other criticism I always throw about the Game Awards is how they handle the actual awards themselves.
Mine's that Daniel never gets invited to host.
I mean, he can attend. They were selling tickets.
Right. Yeah.
But-
No.
Yeah, I'll save my California trip for E3. I'm not going to go out there for this. Unless you know what? I'll say this: if I win Content Creator of the Year, I'll show up. All right.
If you in contact.
That's fair.
I'm not sure that I'll ever be nominated, and I'm not. You know,
Never say never.
apparently you got to have like 50 million followers in order to be nominated. But
They
Right.
should have, like, most underappreciated or whatever. Or, what's the word?
see, here's your problem,
Underrated.
Jesse. We got to become best friends of Mr. Beast, and then we'll get nominated by Carl.
There you
Carl,
go.
who streams video games once a month, is up for Content Creator of the Year. I'm like, you stream once a month for 4 hours. What are we? How can you be up for that award? You're only up for it because they can't nominate Mr. Beast because you can't argue that Mr. Beast is a video game YouTuber.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, we can't nominate him even though he has a gaming channel and his gaming channel is pretty huge. We can't nominate him. So we'll nominate someone from his team who plays video games once in a blue moon.
I swear, every time they do Content Creator of the Year, there's like one person I recognize, maybe. The rest of them, like, who are these people?
It wasn't Content Creator of the Year, but it was whenever they had, like, Gamer of the whatever it was, and Greg Miller won it. It was, like, the only time that I thought they did a good job, but I'm biased, so.
Well, yeah. No, you're not biased to Greg Miller at all.
just a little.
Just a little.
But the thing is, like, even people who didn't like that he won over some other people they maybe wanted to win, almost everyone liked his speech because he didn't make it about him.
No, he liked
It's almost like he understood the Game Awards and what people want from it more than Jeff Keighley did. He's like, this award ain't about me. Like, we're not here for me. Like, this is about the people who make the damn games and the people who never get recognized. Those people in the credits that nobody knows who they are. It was a really good speech, and we've gotten a couple good speeches like that in the early years of the Game Awards, and it feels like since then we really haven't. Like, some of the content creators that win it don't even show up to the show because they don't give a shit about the show. Right. And it's like, I looked at the nominees this year. I recognized a couple, and then I looked them up and I'm like, okay, they're all massive streamers. None of them, besides one, has even mentioned the Game Awards on their social media. So none of them give a shit.
Right.
And I'm like, and these are your supposed most influential, gamers that did something special this year for what? Like Ludwig, okay, his biggest thing he did was a poker stream this year. Playing actual poker for charity. That's cool. It's got nothing to do with video games. Like, I'm just,
Right.
I don't understand it because there's so many actual video game content creators out there that are doing things and are making a difference in the world. So it's kind of interesting to me. Obviously, we all know the panel that votes, and I think what happens because they have the panel public is all the people that vote are people from mainstream video game media, and they don't like content creators.
No, they
very
do
much.
not. Like
They do not. So why would they ever nominate anyone who actually matters? You know, like Greg Miller was like an exception because he came from that media, right? So it's really interesting to see that they always nominate these super big people that don't give a crap because those super big people have nothing to do with their careers. Like if Carl or Ludwig win, doesn't matter. None of them have anything to do with IGN. None of them impact. Like we can't give a content creator who is in the same field as the nominees or like the people making the votes any credit. Like you're not going to see, like even let's just go like Game Explain being up for something. I can't argue that they're not a big deal or beat 'em ups. You know, there's other giant content creators out there that do make a difference, and it's kind of like we're going to vote for these mega ones that don't even, some of them don't even game, just because if they win, it doesn't hurt us.
I want to see 2-Button Crew nominated.
2-Button Crew is, I mean that's the thing too, is it's one of those things that makes it feel very mainstream when you have like, I know it's a very saturated market, but it's like, I don't know, there are some very big but also like high quality creators that I always feel like never seem to be acknowledged or anything like that. And then of course the whole panel thing kind of frustrates me with Game Awards because they have this whole public vote which actually doesn't matter because their panel decides the winner anyways. Their own private panel,
and it's
like
the inverse.
There's one award that's completely community. It's like Community Game of the Year or something like that. I can't remember. There's one that's entirely public vote. Starts with a list of 30 games and it reduces down until whoever wins. So some people really care about that award because that feels like the Community Game of the Year award, which is fair. Right. I understand what they're doing. Like the industry is like 90% and fans are 10 because fans usually just vote for the favorite game. You know, like they're not gonna.
Right, but for Game of the Year, shouldn't Game of the Year be the most amount of gamers' favorite game that year? Like that, by definition, is what it should be, right? Like,
most people consider Game of the Year to be the best game of the year, not the most popular game.
Well, sure, but you know.
So like the thing, a Game of the Year, people don't want to make it out to just be a popularity contest because if that's the case, then Roblox and Minecraft should be winning every year.
Okay, true.
And why is Minecraft not up for like recurring game? Why is that never up for that award? I never understood it. It's like an ongoing recurring game, and it's massive.
Yeah, no idea. They actually had huge updates this year too.
Yeah, they actually did, but I think if I was in charge, I wouldn't eliminate the media from voting. I would just make it 50-50, make it even. So you have the media, the game, you have the popularity contest, and whatever happens.
The media that's voting is the big media, which means they're just going to vote for the most popular one, anyways.
Not always. Give you an example.
Yeah, Inverse doesn't even know what a video game is, and they're on the panel, so.
Always Inverse. Jessie's always dunking on it.
LA Times is on the panel too, by the way, for some reason.
Which one?
LA Times. They're on the panel as well.
This is so weird.
Yeah, there's a few, like Entertainment Weekly, I think, was on there too. Which at least you could argue video games is entertainment. I'm sure they have a game person there, but.
Yeah, like one.
They're probably looking for drama. Like the next issue will have all the Smash Bros. Drama.
Somewhat related, I think even like Playboy reviews video games.
That probably anything to get that street cred.
I think
we need our gamer edition Playboy.
I want to say Martin Bernardin used to do reviews for them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that there's a perfect process anywhere. There's other websites that will do straight fan votes. My favorite's always been the Game Developer Conference because the only people that vote are game developers, and they're not allowed to vote for their own games, which makes sense.
Yeah, GDC is really good.
Like that's a legit honorable award to win because it comes from your peers, and there's no bigger honor than winning a peer award. Like it's one thing to win a popularity contest, but I mean, you know, when you drop Flappy Bird and be the biggest game of the year. I don't know that people consider that to be too prestigious.
Or or when Pokemon can set 10 million in 3 days.
I mean, here's the thing. You said, hey, popular. It's the fastest selling game, the fastest selling exclusive, definitely the fastest selling game of the year. If it's a popularity contest, Pokemon wins.
Of course.
And do we really want to see a world where Pokemon is winning game of the year after what we saw?
In fairness to Pokemon, to kind of counter that, is that Pokemon is incredibly fast selling, but the discourse about it is pretty brutal. Sure. So I would see it not necessarily winning game of the year because there's a lot of people that are pretty upset about how it turned out. So, it's... I also think the number of people who are upset are a vast minority of the people who bought the game. I don't think most Pokemon fans are actually that upset about it. I think to give an example, like last year was what It Takes Two won. Definitely wasn't the most popular game on that list. But was it arguably as good or better than some of the games up for Game of the Year? Probably. It's interesting just looking at it and trying to figure out, okay, what's the most objective way to get the best game to win? And it's so hard to me. Like when I see games like Stray up for Game of the Year, and it's not even the best indie game that came out this year, but it's up for Game of the Year because it was popular and console exclusive to PlayStation. And it's got cats, which everyone loves cats. So like, it feels Stray is genuinely a very charming game, and there's been a lot of mixed discourse about it lately. A lot of people are kind of coming out of the woodwork saying, okay, now that the hype has simmered, we can talk about its criticisms. But if you think about how it's like a debut indie game, it's a technically very impressive game. Like it looks as good as many AAA games do. It certainly looks better than Pokemon does. But it's a Stray, or it's a debut indie title with a very small team. Yes. It's very charming. It's very charming. Tunic's still the best game of the year, though. So
there's Tunic, there's Neon White. What makes me really question isn't even the Game of the Year stuff. It's they nominated a non-fighting game for Fighting Game of the Year.
Yeah,
I don't know how that happens. By the way, if they just were like, "Oh, we just need another one to fill out the spot," there were other fighting games that came out this year. You could have just Google searched it.
Mm-hmm. This is something we're talking about, like the family game category that Nintendo always gets sort of cornered into. Doesn't make any sense because I think like there was 2 or 3 of the nominations there that were not like family games. Like Splatoon is a team shooter. Why would you put in a family game? How many people sit down with their family and play Splatoon together? You can't. You need multiple consoles and multiple copies of the game to do that. Yeah. It's not a family game. It's maybe family friendly, but it's not a family game.
There is a possibility that if Tears of the Kingdom doesn't win Most Anticipated and Nintendo doesn't win the Family Award, it goes to Lego Star Wars. There's a chance Nintendo gets blanked at the awards.
It's
like,
true.
They're nominated for all this stuff. Yeah, but look at what they're up against the Game of the Year nominees. They're going to lose to all of them. So
I think Mario Rabbids was also in Family Game, and that's a strategy game. It's a tactics game. It's not it's not what I would consider a family game. It doesn't make any sense. So to Joseph's point in the chat,
you look up other ones that were family games. Nintendo Switch Sports. How about Mario Strikers?
Sure.
Like Nintendo had other actual family games come up this year.
Also, what the hell's a family game actually? Like if you think about, because I feel like game genres are a thing where break it down by how you interact with the game. The game's mechanics.
The Game Awards, the best family game is just Nintendo.
It's just Nintendo. Yeah, but that's not a genre.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know that category exists so they can make sure Nintendo is always included. That's like literally the only reason it's there, which is an insult to Nintendo's game, saying you're not good enough to be in the other categories, which is just dumb.
Mm-hmm. To Joseph's point in the chat, though, he said, do the Game Awards actually mean anything? We always say Nintendo gets snubbed hard, but they're certainly not suffering because of it. That's a good point. They're doing just fine, which is probably why they're not like
Game Awards. The actual awards aren't really so. It's not about sales. Winning awards don't increase game sales. It Takes Two won Game of the Year, didn't suddenly get an influx of millions and millions of purchases right after.
Yeah, you probably get like a few hundred at the most.
Yeah, so this is what sucks about the Game Awards is we watch some people win an award, and the ones that accept it on stage, and you can kind of see how much it means to them to win the award, which means the awards is really about the people making the games, and that's the unfortunate part is how they get treated doesn't always feel that way, even though you'll see Joseph Fair go on stage and he's basically crying because he can't believe that his game won a Game of the Year. It's insane, like to see how important these awards are to the people who make the games. Not so much Nintendo because Bowser's a little dry when he goes up there for his awards. I'm not sure if he has a lot of emotion. Just to be complete, I almost feel like they should put Bill Trinen or something up there instead of accepting the award. Someone who's got a little personality about him, But I also think that it's also a little different, like like when Breath of the Wild won it, Nintendo made a huge deal out of that back then and actually had real, like, bigger up people from Nintendo there to accept the award. It wasn't just like, oh, Reggie, go take it and say 2 words and walk off. Like, no, EJ Nomo was present. They had people there because it meant something to them to win that award.
They even invited the voice actors of the game there. Yep,
and voice actors too. Like they made a huge deal out of winning that. So I kind of think that the awards matter for them. They're not about game sales. They're not about the gamers. It's about the people making them. And I feel like people have been trying to, now that Jeff Keighley's being so open and having conversations about this on the Twitter Spaces or whatever thing, that he's starting to hear that feedback of, hey, it's the developers, the people making the games that care about this. So we should tailor it in that way. Now, the actual show itself, yes, you got to have your game reveals. You got to tailor it to the audience watching, because the audience watching is going to be the gamers. So yeah, have your game reveals, have your this, have your that. But there's certain ways to like handle things differently. As an example, one thing I think they need to do a better job is clarifying commercial breaks versus show. Because people will watch a commercial and be like, hey, is this a new trailer? No, it's a commercial break. Right. Well, why can't they just say, hey, we'll be right back,
and
after
sometimes it's the same. Like they'll use a trailer that they just showed off in a commercial.
Yeah, Nintendo, they were there last year in a commercial.
Yes. You were talking earlier about, we're talking about Game of the Years and like Stray. When PlayStation 3 was out, do you remember the indie game Journey?
Yes. I was going to Google it quick. No, I know Journey, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Didn't people like make a big deal of it being like one of the best games of that year or something? And it was just like this small indie game as well, only for PlayStation.
Yeah, that it was a really big emotional trip kind of game.
Yeah. Game of the Year, Raid Shadow Legends. Jeez, no.
Yeah, no, my point with the Stray thing wasn't so much that Stray's up there, or like A Plague Tale Requiem was another one. It was that it's because every year they include an indie game, but I'm like, but there's a realistic chance Stray doesn't even win Best Indie Game in its own category.
Yeah, that would be weird if it won Game of the Year, but not Best Indie Game.
No, it's weird. Like if it doesn't win Best Indie Game, then I look at it and go, why is it nominated for Game of the Year then? If it's not even the best game in its own category.
That's a fair point.
And
it has more mainstream appeal
well. Like one thing, I hope that I get called upon in his spaces he does after the show, because I want to ask him the art direction question. Why is every game up for best art direction the same art direction? Why is every game of the year? It's like the award is who had the best realistic art style this year. And if you want to call that the category, that's fine, but you can't call it best art direction while you represent one art direction in the entire industry.
Yeah,
that's one that I really want to ask about, because I'm like, I understand that he doesn't control who votes for what, and obviously all the independent people might be like, oh, that's just how it ended up because everyone thought Stray, this like group thought Stray was the best looking thing, this one thought this one thought that, but it's also like, but they're also all voting for the same things. I don't know how you're getting, it's almost like if that's the case, then maybe your panel is not a big enough variety of people on your panel. Maybe you got to start looking outside of your traditional media. You know, maybe I understand that he doesn't want anyone that's like me. He's not going to come to me and ask me because Nintendo Prime, he's trying to get rid of like individual system bias. But I don't know. I think there's just a better way to build out that panel. And maybe part of it's including developers. Find out what developers want to be on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe that's where you get your variety then, because developers have a lot more respect for all these other art directions. The media, who just really focuses in on, oh man, it's got to be Horizon's got the best. No. Elden Ring. Okay, well, Elden Ring wasn't even known as a looker. Why is that game even up for? It's not even known as a looker. Elden Ring's an amazing game, but nobody looked at it when it came out and said this is the most gorgeous video game I've ever played. Like, no, it was just a decent looking game built in this massive, really fun to play in world with this really fun gameplay style that everyone's always wanted to try in an open world setting. And that's wonderful. But it's not really the best art direction.
Right.
Like it probably should win Game of the Year, but that's one category it probably shouldn't be up for. I'm not even sure what you should put in there instead. I'm just saying that, like, you know, there's other art directions to recognize. For me, I have my bias, so I think Kirby should be up for best art direction because, hello, can we recognize an art style that isn't just hyper realistic? How about a game that was literally carried by its art direction?
Right. Well,
like,
that game's pretty fun too.
You know, except
it's a pretty fun game.
They wouldn't cut the frame rate to 15 seconds in the background on PlayStation.
Oh yeah, no, that's legit.
I mean, I know they did. I know why they did it, and it's fine. They emphasized the gameplay frame rate, and that was fine with me. But
yeah, for sure.
All right. Anyway, mailbag to get to.
Well, we realized. I just realized we missed a topic entirely, which we never talked about the Mario trailer, which we meant to. It's even in the title of the stream. Maybe we should just touch on that quickly. Just a quick touch on it, but I think it looks freaking great.
It does.
I think it looks.
I
looks
love
really
seeing
great.
all of the Kong family members back in the stands.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I'm not a fan of Kiddy Kong. I think he's the worst Kong ever. But he was in the go-kart scene. Here's the thing: is that one apprehension I had when the movie was announced is that they would try and play it too safe and kind of not fully embrace the IP and everything that the Mario IP has to offer in terms of its world and its diverse cast of characters and things like that. And this trailer has really put that concern to rest. Like, they seem to be going all in on this. You've got the Kong family, you've got Yoshi Stampede, Mario Kart making an appearance on Rainbow Road, for goodness sakes. It really truly feels like they're embracing the Mario world, not the game, but the concept, and just going all in on it. Like, the more I see, the more sold I am on this movie. It does not look half-assed by any means. So still not necessarily sure about some of the voice acting choices, but I'm sure that's not an unpopular opinion. But Jack Black continues to kill it as Bowser.
Do you think
Truthfully,
we're going to see them get into like a big fight on top of a giant board game?
I don't know about that.
Yes.
Maybe as okay, we saw a bit where he's like platforming and it was like a training thing that they were doing, it looked like. So maybe they could work it into that.
So they got the 2D in. They got Mario Kart in. They got Smash Bros in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They'll
have Mario somewhere.
There is a shot where when like him and Donkey Kong are fighting on that girder, and it has that side view, and they're on the red girder, and it's like totally just like classic arcade Donkey Kong. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. There's also one of the posters that showed they're in what looks like New Donk City, and I think this is something that a lot of people are talking about, like the Mario's origin, because it's like the classic origin is, oh, he's from Brooklyn, he's from the real world, but he went to the Mushroom Kingdom. That was like the original origin story, and then they changed it in like Mario Odyssey. They had New Donk City, but if you notice on one of the posters, it looks like New Donk City. Pauline's in the background of the poster, but the street sign says Brooklyn. Now I'm wondering if they're going to kind of combine those origin stories and say, oh yeah, he is from Brooklyn Street in New Donk City.
No, well, okay, so that entire area, I didn't realize this at the time. That entire poster that you're talking about is actually every building, all the streets, and all that actually exist in Brooklyn. It's a little place that's underneath the big bridge. And I didn't know this. Someone actually sent me an image because they live there, and they said, "Look, this is literally the buildings matched up, the streets, everything matched up, and you can even see the bridge in the background above the building left. So it's very definitely in Brooklyn. I do wonder if there will be just some New Donk references, just to kind of, hey.
Well, you got Pauline at least, who is
Pauline,
the mayor.
Who's the mayor, but doesn't mean she's the mayor here, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of I think there's going to be a lot of these background fodder references that may never be, like, that might be the only time you see Pauline is on, like, some random, talking scene,
I'm calling it now. When Donkey Kong takes over Brooklyn, he renames it New Donk City.
I can hear Seth Rogen saying it. I'm going to call this New Donk City in the Seth Rogen voice.
Or it was like a joke later in it where they think, oh man, we've made it back home, and then it's actually New Donk City in the Mushroom Kingdom that just happens to look a little bit like home.
Right.
And they walk around the corner and it's just nope. There's people flying up flagpoles and scouring buildings, and here's flying Koopas for some reason.
Do you think we'll see
maybe
a reference to other non-Mario connected games?
I mean, everything's connected to Mario.
I know, but I mean, like, not directly, like not a relative or a monkey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Donkey Kong makes a lot of sense just because that's where Mario started. I'll be curious if there will be any other franchises reference. So far, we haven't really seen that. Like even Smash, like, okay, yeah, but Mario's on the cover of Smash every time, so
yeah,
whatever.
Oh,
but like having like a Zelda reference or a Metroid or a Pikmin, I don't really know if they're gonna go there. It would be cool if they did, but I'm not so sure that they plan to. I don't. I think it would be cool. Like they could throw anything in the background. You can be in the Mushroom Kingdom and there's a Triforce thing in the background. That's some shop. Like, okay, cool. But I just don't know if they're actually going to do it, because I think any references they have will be to reference next movies coming out. And I don't know that like a Zelda or a Metroid or a Pikmin or anything that's planned. Could be wrong though.
I feel like Pikmin maybe just because of Miyamoto's heavy involvement. But other than that, like they've already got so much world to build off of with Mario.
That's another thing. Do you think we'll see like Miyamoto or someone as a character? Or not actually
like
them, but like someone styled after them?
They go into a shop to buy something, Miyamoto's the shopkeeper or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if, because when they roll the end credits, they'll probably have some fun animation thing going on. I wouldn't be surprised if like there's something involving Miyamoto in the credits.
Yeah, I can see that.
And this won't be the first time. I think Bowser was. I don't know about Donkey Kong. Mario was supposed to be in it, but Wreck-It Ralph. I remember there was an interview where they said Mario was supposed to be in it, but even though they had permission to use Mario, they felt that it would be such a big deal that it would take the attention away from their like the main characters or whatever, even though it was supposed to be like a weird cameo thing, kind of like the group. It's something like they felt like if they included Mario, that he would have to be like one of the tag along characters with the main cast, and that wasn't the plan. Yeah, but they ended up having the Mario
reference Bowser, obviously, but people don't freak out. Bowser. Yeah, people don't freak out as much about Bowser being there. So.
His appearance there was good though. Like he was just in there.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was fitting. Yeah. It would have been interesting if they would have had Donkey Kong in there as a villain, since that's what he originally was, and the whole villain meetup scene they did. And I'm like, why is Donkey Kong here? I thought he's a hero. Not in this game.
Well, in fairness to it, like it's an arcade. They're all arcade characters, so
they're all arcade. So it's arcade, yeah. But then Mario's a villain in an arcade game too. So Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, that whole Wreck-It Ralph thing was basically just a rip off of Mario and Donkey Kong in the first Donkey Kong game, anyway. Where he's like jumping.
That's true, actually.
And then they had the Mario Kart reference at the end.
I liked Wreck-It Ralph.
I did too.
That was one of the few like original video game movies that actually, I think kind of did it right.
Yeah, it was kind of like they originally went to Nintendo and was like, "Can we make a Mario movie?" And they're like, "No, but we'll let you use Bowser for 2 seconds."
Sonic was in it too, I think.
Yeah, Sonic was in it. He lost his rings.
Yeah,
he did. Poor guy.
It's crazy how they got all that in there.
They got that Disney money, so of course they can pay all the royalties and licensing fees.
They're like, what, $10 million for 2 seconds? Here you go.
Hey, yeah, no problem. Got that Disney cash.
Apparently Disney's bleeding cash, supposedly.
Really?
Apparently they're not doing too hot at the moment.
Oh yeah, they got rid of their new president and rehired their old president back like a week ago.
Maybe they need to pay some of these higher ups a little less, and they would probably be doing better. I'm sure their CEOs make more bank than they need to. So.
Yeah, I mean a lot of it's on like, but this isn't being like they're in trouble. I think it's they expanded into a lot of things really quickly. It made a lot of purchases really quickly, and a lot of it hasn't paid off yet. Like even Disney Plus. Okay, well to get Disney Plus to work, you got to invest heavily in these shows and these movies. And to do that means you're going to be taking losses for a long time, like Netflix did. And you got to absorb that. And
they have the cash to absorb it, though.
Oh, yeah, they do. They don't need outside investors. Like Netflix needed outside investors to do it. Disney doesn't, but also that's not going to look good on your bottom line. And then you obviously bought up all the Marvel and the Lucas, and you've gotten some stuff back from that, obviously. But not everything. The Indiana Jones movie hasn't come out yet, so you haven't made anything off that property yet. And then you also have things like they bought up Fox and some of the sporting networks there and some of the other stuff, and maybe they kind of found out that hey, these things there's a reason they were for sale.
Yeah, with that Avatar, the new Avatar movie. In the first place. Yeah, they have the new Avatar movie that they bought from Fox, and the director was saying that for that movie to turn a profit, it literally has to release as the #1 highest box office.
I think it was top 3.
Top 3?
Top 3 highest grossing films.
Still, that's like $2 billion.
Yeah. The first one got over $2 billion.
It's like, how did you make a movie that's going to cost more than $2 billion? Like maybe
it's the animation.
It took like a jillion years to make it, apparently.
Yeah, it's all in the animation because most of the movie is fully animated, and it's done in a way where like each like 10-second segment can take almost like 3 weeks to even render out.
Yeah, I remember there's a thing like even on the old Transformers movies, they said like to render one of the scenes where it was like one of the Transformers hitting one of the skyscrapers and all the debris going everywhere. It took like 6 hours to render like 2 frames. And they were using like 18 different computers to render those 2 frames within 6 hours.
That's bonkers.
And Avatar, the first one, even to this day, has amazing animation. And this one's obviously, the latest and greatest. It's crazy to me that any company gives him the budget to do it. He's got proof in the first one that I can make a couple bill. You let me do it the way I want, it's going to be huge.
There was an interview.
James Cameron's got a big track record. It's got a good track record.
Excellent track record. Almost all of his films do really well, but Avatar is the biggest.
Yeah,
that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
But there was an interview where they asked him why it was taking so long for him to come out with the sequel, since the first one came out and was like the biggest movie in the world at the time. And he said it literally took this long just to develop the technology to do what he wanted to do in the movie. So it's like he had to pay people just to build the engine and the tech and everything, like the past 6, 7, 8 years before they could actually begin working on the actual movie, which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'll put it this way, like one trailer comes out, my fiance sees and she's, I gotta go to it. And she never says that about trailers. So like that's, to me, I know it's a little personal anecdote, but I haven't seen anyone who's seen the trailers and goes, yeah, I don't want to see that. Almost everyone, I think, like, do you guys want to see it? Even if you don't go in theaters, like,
I can tell you a trailer. I want to see it.
I do want to see it, but I don't love the theater experience. So I would probably wait.
Even if you don't go to theaters, but like, you know, you'll rent it or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I just, yeah, like
I'm debating on a little less for IMAX for this piece.
The trailer I saw was very like, I felt like I did not get. It's a Tears of the Kingdom situation. I felt like I did not get enough of a grasp of what they were going for with it.
Yeah,
no, at least the first trailer. Because it's like, okay, it's Avatar 2. They have a kid now, I guess, and and they're back on Pandora. But like, what's the conflict here?
First you can hear the world breathe. Okay, we see humans a little bit again, so there's still a human comp. Well, why are the humans there again? Then they learned the first time.
Right. Exactly. It's just like, what's the real conflict here? And
is the world dying because the person says they can hear the world's heartbeat? Okay, cool. Is the world dying? And maybe that's the whole point, is I'm supposed to speculate, and they're gonna, you know, obviously advertise it a lot more closer to coming out. But I don't know. It looks incredible though.
Yeah, I remember.
It looks like if no one, if you showed me that, and I was a little bit younger and didn't know as much as I know now, and someone told me like this is footage from an alien planet, I would be like, what? I might believe them for a second because it looks that damn good.
It does. It looks very, very good. It does. We should probably pivot over to the mailbag.
Yes. Anyone, if you have any questions for the mailbag that you would like us to answer, we can do a few of them. While we wait on questions to come up in the live chat on Avatar, Matt Damon, I think it was Matt Damon, was originally supposed to be the main actor for the movie, and instead of getting paid like a certain amount for the movie, he was promised 10%. Yeah, he was promised like 10%, and it turned out to be like the worst business decision ever for any actor, because he would have gotten like $400 million or something like that.
Yeah, They only turned it down because they were gonna have to film extra scenes for Jason Bourne, and he's like, I'm not going to abandon this project. The project's pretty much done. It's in post-production. But yeah, we always have to do extra scenes. Well, maybe this time you don't. You take the 10%.
Oh, no. Yeah. It says it would have came out to $600 million he would have got for the movie.
I bet. Oh, yeah. But I mean, that's because people that see the 2 billion guys, that's just theater. People bought it when it came out, too.
Yeah. And then all the toys and merch and stuff, he would have got like a license fee on his face and the toys and video games and everything.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because because he also said, James Cameron looked at me and said, I don't need you. The movie sells itself. Like, I don't need famous actors. The movie sells itself. Right. I don't need you. But I want you. Yeah, I got this other thing going on. Sorry.
And then it's like, if he would have negotiated having that same deal for the sequels as well, then he would have been getting like $5 billion off of all the sequels and the TV show they're making.
Yeah, who even knows? Because I wonder if the 10% would have just been for that movie. If he would have just been like, you just 10% of Avatar as an IP, you just have it.
Wouldn't have to work again. Ever.
I don't know that he has to work again anyways.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true.
I think he's doing well for himself. I think he just sees a point where he's like, damn, I could have just been Avatar only my whole career and never did anything else.
I could have been Avatar.
I'm Avatar now.
I'm Avatar
I am the last Airbender.
Oh, no. Oh, man, I love that.
All right, questions.
Question time. Do we have any?
I don't see any in the live chat.
I don't know what you're mailing.
Let's go to the mailbag in Discord.
All right. There are some questions in here I think we could probably skip. Like, what are your hopes for the next Zelda game? I feel like we answer that probably 10 times a month.
Okay, well, in that case, what is everyone's hottest Zelda take? From 𝗷𝗆𝗃.
That's a good
Your
question.
hottest Zelda take. Mine is do a live action Zelda TV show with the voice actors from the Zelda cartoon cast as the live action cast.
Wow. That is a hot take. That's hot. That's spicy.
That is the hottest take that I can think of at
I
this
don't think
moment.
I can do that. I think you just set the bar.
that's pretty hot. It's a pretty spicy take.
Yeah, I get like a 60-year-old guy playing young Link.
Oh my gosh, no. All right, Nate, what was yours? What were you gonna say?
Well, this is the one I get hate on this a lot, but I don't care because it's my truth, and my truth is that Ocarina of Time is not a top 10 Zelda game.
Oh, that is spicy. That is spicy. Although I know that
It's not even a top 10 game of all time.
Your preferences for Zelda games, I'm not going to disagree with your opinion because you're allowed to. Everyone has taste.
Over there?
But I know that they're a little niche compared to like what are the popular ones. Do you know what I mean?
Like my favorite game
like
of all
Spirit
time.
Tracks, Zelda 2, Skyward Sword. Those are like typically the unpopular ones.
But like
They're
my
all
favorite
great
game of all time is Breath of the Wild, which is the popular.
That's the exception, not the rule for you.
Thanks.
That's no. I mean, you're not wrong. You're allowed to have your favorite
Zelda
game.
2 is my second favorite, so you're definitely right on. So
Yeah. I also, the thing is, sometimes I think that, and then whenever I play Ocarina of Time, I'm like, oh no, this game is a masterpiece. This game really is
never
good.
said it's not a masterpiece. It's just not in my top 10.
All right. That's fair. I won't argue with you.
I've never said it's bad. There's only one Zelda game I've ever said I legitimately just think it's a bad game.
Oh, okay. Which one is that?
Phantom Hourglass.
Really?
Yeah, not in. The people are like, that's the one. It's not like Triforce Heroes. No, I enjoyed Triforce Heroes. Phantom Hourglass.
I constantly expunge Triforce Heroes from my memory. I forget about it.
Every time you hear it, you're just like, what? Is that a new game?
It's maybe it's more forgettable than it is bad.
I beat it twice. How much I enjoyed it.
Wow. I have not beaten it even because, and I feel like if I had the opportunity to actually play it with friends,
We tried.
I would have a better time with it. We did it with Four Swords, and it was great.
Route for it.
But that wasn't Triforce Heroes. That was
Yeah.
you know what? You're right. We tried with Triforce Heroes. We couldn't get it to work though.
Yeah,
because we were trying on Citra and it didn't let us hook up. But
not enough oranges.
Because just buying a copy is too hard to do.
no, I have a copy. I bought a copy.
this was so we could play and stream.
And stream it. That's the thing. And I don't have a 3DS capture card, which is an expensive and also finicky device anyways.
You're not gonna tell me I had a 3DS capture card back when I worked at Zelda Informer that I paid $500 for. Actually, it ended up working okay. The software was a little buggy at first, but then I found that you could just do a direct pass through in the OBS, and then it was all fine after that. But because it's just getting a video signal out from it, that's like the hard thing to do.
$500 and especially USD, that's hard to justify.
It would have been definitely worth it. Like if it was like the first year of 3DS, I feel like it would have been more worth it because then we had Ocarina of Time 3D plus Majora's Mask.
Sure.
Obviously Link Between Worlds and all. So like there would have been a lot more use cases for it. By the time I got it, the only use case was Triforce Heroes at that point.
Right.
But
otherwise, I can boot up Citra. I can play it in 1080p or higher if I want instead, and and way easier, and not pay $500 for it. So, I mean, yeah. But apparently not play online. My spicy hot Zelda take is that I don't want them to make a Zelda movie whatsoever.
Oh, I think we have to look for a new host on the podcast.
I don't want a
Zelda
TV show. So
if they made it, I'd watch it. I think a TV show is a better route, or a mini series, like a 6-part, 1 hour per episode mini series. That I feel like is the sweet spot.
I think it would have to be a series, not a movie.
Witcher style Zelda TV series, which we'll never get, but I want it.
For the scope of a Zelda story, just a movie's too short, and it would just be so surface level that it would be bad.
It's just part one.
Okay, but then that's at that point, it's like, why make a trilogy of movies? Just make a series then.
Because they might make more money.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings spent
That doesn't
3
mean
movies.
it's good.
Just
Like,
walking.
Lord of the Rings took 3 movies to get through, and like money.
Yeah,
That's all
Sure.
that.
all they did was walk.
Rings was great.
There was multiple books, by the way, so yeah.
Well, yeah, but then also with the Hobbit movies, there was 2 books, and they made 3 movies.
I love Lord of
And
the
they
Rings.
weren't good.
That TV show. Actually, I like the Amazon show. It's pretty good. But
The Amazon show
But the thing
likes
is,
you.
like, for Lord of the Rings, I feel like the idea of making a trilogy of movies like that is very antiquated now. Like, I feel like a series is just the better way to go, and you see that with like Disney's spin-off shows now. You have like Andor is like some of the best Star Wars media I've ever watched, for example. I feel like
Maybe one
that's
of
just the
those.
medium, because you can take your time, you can do your world building, you can tell the story in a fully fleshed out way that you want to tell.
then there's some
And I think
like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show should have just been a movie.
I liked it, actually. I liked the show.
I
but-
like the show, but I
liked
feel like they could have condensed it to a movie, and I feel like it would have been a bit better.
If you read the writers for that show, if you read their original pitch that they wanted for the show, it was actually a lot better.
Yeah, was it?
believe it.
Instead
I
of
believe it.
focusing on
Why-
Leia, it was
why I
more
think it-
focused on Luke. And it wasn't just like, oh, she got kidnapped, we're gonna go save her or whatever. It was like, yeah, it was actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I thought it was fine if there was. It just kind of felt like. I mean, I guess maybe that makes sense. Like, it was sort of an afterthought story. Like, it wasn't what they would originally wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
imagine
for a
it
Zelda
has
movie,
Sorry, Daniel.
For a Zelda movie, just to pivot back,
Yeah.
just circle back. A lot of people are like, I want Lord of the Rings style, but it's Zelda, and that's just not appealing to me.
I hate
For me,
seeing
like,
all those.
if you were to make a Zelda adaptation, first of all, don't adapt an existing game story. Make a new original story that's in universe, because then you're not tied down to, you're not boxed in, and it's not never going to be as good anyways. Make a new story and hand it to Studio Ghibli and let them make an animated series.
Ooh.
I'm good with that. No thanks.
No thanks, really. Really?
I'm so against an animated Zelda series that I might not even watch it if it existed.
The thing is that with animation, unless you have a really huge budget for live action, with animation you can do things. You're not limited by things that live action realism is limited by. So if you're gonna do live action, you need a hell of a budget.
Lord of the Rings didn't feel limited.
You know,
But they had a budget.
They needed
they
to get
had
the
the budget.
animators.
Zelda can get a budget. If The Witcher can get a budget, pretty sure Zelda can get a budget.
I don't know.
We're talking about a $1 billion, like many billion-dollar company. They want to do it, they can do it. Like this Mario movie has a pretty good
but
budget behind it.
Look at, like, She-Hulk's animation was pretty subpar for its live action. It's immersion breaking at times. That's that Disney money.
Yeah, I don't know if they viewed She-Hulk though as like a
They
big
didn't put a lot of effort
They
behind
wouldn't
it.
have that happen in like
didn't.
Loki as an example.
It was like,
Like
the,
Loki season 2 wouldn't have those kind of animation breaks in it like that because it's
True.
It's a bigger.
Loki was pretty good, honestly, as far as his visuals go.
Yeah.
I just feel like for me, animation is more interesting to watch. I don't know. It's easier for me to. It's easy for me to suspend my disbelief when I'm watching something that's animated. And if something wacky or magical or like if a Goron shows up in live action, they have to make it look really good, or I'm going to be like, wow, that's hokey as hell. But if Goron shows up in an animated piece of media, I have no problem just accepting it. You know,
All right.
it's because that's what it is.
Here you go, guys. This is the animation company. Okay, you get Dick Enterprises, Saban Productions, and they collaborate with the team that did the animation for Philips.
For Philips?
Yeah,
That
the
I would
CDI
watch.
game.
The CDI games. Let's go bombs at the dongos.
I guess they asked for hot takes, right?
I mean, that's what I was trying to give
Did you
him.
expect his hot take to be anything else after his original hot take?
Yeah, I mean, you set a high bar there, Jesse.
Oh no!
You
Wait!
actually made my hot take not seem that bad.
Reicher Entertainment. They did the Captain N show. That had Link in it.
That did have Link in it.
That did have Link in it. It had Mario and yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, it was like a Smash Bros. Thing.
Very weird take on the brain.
So yeah,
I don't know how Captain N hasn't made it into Smash yet.
Oh yeah, seriously. I bet Nintendo has at least some
I know
rights
he was
for
never
that.
a video game character, but I don't care. It's classic. Make him
Yeah.
put Game and Watch in. You could put him in. Come on.
That's
that was
legit.
a watch. That wasn't even a game.
You could put a potted piranha plant as a fighter and make it good too. There you go. Anything good. Right.
Next question. I guess we can each do one since we're going on 3 hours here.
Sure.
All right. Do you know where the mailbag is, Nate?
Yeah, it's on your Discord server.
Okay. I don't know if
I'm
you've
just like
seen it
going
earlier.
back. I don't even know how far back to go.
You can pick our final question. So, Daniel, do you have one picked out yet?
No, I wasn't looking.
See, I thought mine was going to be a joke question, but we ended up learning some things about you guys. So never trust Daniel, never trust
I've been
Nate.
on the show in a while. Everything turns serious when I'm on a show. I don't know why.
Nate doesn't
I'm
like
too-
Ocarina of Time. Daniel doesn't
I'm gonna
like.
go grab my Bebop
Mandy.
mask. I wore for Halloween.
Oh, he didn't say he doesn't like Ocarina of Time, Jesse. He just said it's not in his top 5.
I was joking.
It's
I do like
Prime
Ocarina.
Play has a
Like,
question in the
every
chat.
time people are
Check
like,
it
"Oh, you just don't like that game," I'm like, literally after I played Ocarina of Time is when I started making Zelda fan sites. So don't tell me I don't like that game. Literally
It's always
inspired
weird
me
when
to start making
people
Zelda
try
fan
to
sites.
tell you what you do or don't like. You know, if they're like
It's like,
you don't
I
like.
enjoyed, probably exactly 10 other Zelda games, and after Tears of the Kingdom, probably 11. Doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like the game. Like, there's the one Zelda game I don't like. But
Yeah, I think there's this misconception about good and better, and something being better than something else doesn't mean that thing is bad. It just means that this thing was a little higher up. But people seem to often think that if you don't love it, you don't like it. That's not always the case.
so you got a question, Daniel? I see a few of them.
You see a few of them. 𝗵𝗲 in all caps said, "I have a question," but I guess they're maybe still typing it out. So
Probably about Chex Quest HD, if I had to guess.
Really quick,
Oh my gosh.
Nate. Natsu says, "Ask you about the ending of Ocarina of Time." Just kidding.
Oh, I know what that's a reference to. Have you ever played Chex Quest HD? Called that one.
Nancy,
Is this
I thought you were at work. Nancy, you're supposed to be at work.
What's up with the end of Ocarina of Time? It's a
We're
glorious-
not visiting this.
Just-
This is why I said I used to know a lot about Zelda. After that moment, I no longer consider myself someone who's knowledgeable on Zelda, as seen by the fact that I think I took last place on that quiz we did earlier today. So,
Ooh. In fairness, a lot of people struggle with that quiz. That was the point of
well, I
it.
realized that in the time it takes me to look at all the answers and think about it for a second, the timer's gone. So I'm just going to rapid fire, just guess the first thing I see.
See,
And then I started picking the last one every time, and I think the last one was only correct 1 out of the 10 questions. So that didn't help.
Here's a secret. The answer to the trivia questions I usually make is the third answer.
The third one.
Yeah.
So you're like, make up 2, then give the real, then make up.
Yeah, the fake one's usually something about
Always
Daniel.
a guessing. So you are the
So-
one that proves that when you're taking all those big tests, you always fill out C if you want to pass. If
Yeah,
you don't
that's
actually.
basically how mine works. And then some of my questions, because I've done like 1,000 questions, it's like, what is the item for the 6th dungeon in the 7th Zelda game?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So then you have to-
The
Some
seventh
Zelda
Zelda
game
game.
would be
Then you gotta start. Yeah, you gotta start like, okay, first I gotta remember what was the 7th. So now I'm going through my head. By the time I figure that out, then I'm like, oh, okay. Now what was the 6th dungeon? I start counting.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
usually how it goes. Or it'll be like, how many keys were in the fire temple for Ocarina of Time?
Answer's 9. I know that now. Or is
I was
it
going
8?
to say 8. I was going to say 8, but I'm like, it might be 9. I don't know off the top of my head for sure, but 8 would have been my guess.
Here's a question I have.
it is 8.
Why does the Deku tree have keys in the beta for Ocarina of Time?
Well, there's a reason he doesn't in the final release, I guess, because there are no keys in the first 3 dungeons at all.
Trick question.
Most anticipated, or this is 𝗵𝗲 actual question. What are you all most anticipating for the Game Awards? So we did talk a lot of criticism for the Game Awards. Most anticipating.
Well, I done said they're going to rename Tears of the Kingdom to Tears of Jessie if there's not a trailer for it.
So you're anticipating a Zelda trailer.
Yes, I'm always.
Most anticipating.
I wake up every day being like, man, I hope Nintendo releases a trailer today. I don't know what I'll do if they don't.
So like, if there's an event that it could happen that they've done something before, it's kind of like, yeah, let's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I hear you? I want it to happen too. So.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm just most anticipating the indie category because I love that category and I love the games that are actually up in that category. And I really want Tunic to win. So my favorite game of the year right now.
They could get rid of ARMS and give us a knockout. Or punch out. Yeah, punch out.
I'm anticipating at least one moment where a developer is crying on stage because they won.
I love that.
Because I always feel like that is, it's like a reminder of what these awards really mean. Like, you guys can hate the show and think it's lame, and I get all the criticism, but behind all of that, there's some meaning to the people making the games. So someone's going to cry that did not expect to win, which is interesting because I think most of the people who are going to win know ahead of time. But I do wonder if there's certain categories where maybe they're not sure. You know, like say Game of the Year. I don't know if they actually know who's going to win ahead of time. Like if they're 100% sure, unless they're building marketing around it. Like if Nintendo knows Zelda's going to win and they want to build marketing around it and throw up a trailer, well, okay, because like some obviously know ahead of time because they got to pre-record, right? If they're not going to be there, they got to have a pre-recorded message. So I'm very curious. You know, that's one thing too. I'd probably ask Jeff is if everyone knows ahead of time if they won before the awards announced or not. But anyway, either way, someone's gonna cry on stage because it means that much to them, and I can't wait. It's probably strong. They'll probably be the ones crying. As much as I poke fun at it, a lot of the nominations it has, honestly, they'd probably be the ones crying. So
they would be, I think, just because they're such a small indie team, and to get that acknowledgement, it probably means a lot to them, I imagine. You know. Yeah.
Let me see. We'll try to keep this short and not run it another hour. But I'll take Jim Meister here. So, what are your hopes for the next Zelda game after Tears of the Kingdom? Obviously, everything's focused on the next one. But I mean, there's I
have no hopes yet because I still have hopes for Tears of the Kingdom. So at this point, I have no hopes for the next one because it depends on what feedback do I have for Tears of the Kingdom first. You know,
my hope is this is a trilogy, so we're going to get another one. I don't know if it needs to be in the same world. That's going to depend on what happens here. And if Hyrule's extended and we start to see there's other lands, because there's other lands in Zelda lore, so maybe some other stuff happens. But I'm very curious to if this would be some sort of trilogy and how they can handle the trilogy. I don't know. You can talk enemies all we want and go like, okay, so we had like the Calamity Ganon. Now maybe this time we have Ganondorf, and then Demise returns in the third one. Because I'm trying to think of the order of like what's considered more badass, even though Ganon's supposed to be like the more badass version of Ganondorf, but it never really feels that way. To be completely honest, it never really feels that way. It kind of feels like he's the weaker version, but yeah. But I don't know. Like I would like to see, and I think Nintendo kind of looks at it as, hey, we do this, our next big Zelda game. Like you could look at it as maybe Nintendo sort of milking it a little bit because of how big this is, and they've never had anything this big before for Zelda. But I also think it also would be cool to see, okay, well, the next one after this probably won't be out for another 5 years at least. At least in terms of the 3D Zelda. I'm not saying, guys, that they won't get a new top-down Zelda at some point. They might, get Grezzo or something to do that. But and other remakes, remasters, and ports, obviously, along the way. But I think that because that next one will assuredly, like the one after this, is assuredly going to debut on new hardware that's out at the time. Like I don't think we're going to go 5 years out from this and we're still just rocking Switch. Like I don't think that's the case. So I also think that they might be like, hey, this would also be great if, okay, this might not be there at launch, but if we're in like year 2 or 3 and we drop this in there, if we're continuing what made it so big in the first place, but now we're in a new land, a new area, a new this, don't know. Also, people might go, well, I actually just want a whole fresh, brand new type of Zelda game. And I get that as well. I just think Nintendo's ran by a business guy, and this business guy knows Zelda's never been this big. We ain't letting it go. It go. We're going to run this open world Zelda thing into the damn ground before we let this thing go. So, which, hey, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. You keep doing it. Keep doing it. And all the people are like, oh, but I want my tradition. You got your traditional stuff for like 20 plus years. Let's chill. Let me get my open world. Let me enjoy it for like a decade here. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. I
don't know what kind of game it's going to be. I just hope that it's the end of a trilogy of Breath of the Wild style games.
All right. Someone get ready to smack me in the face. I think.
All right. I'm always ready.
The next Zelda game is going to be a mobile cell phone game. The game that I want is a sequel to Majora's Mask or Twilight Princess, though.
You see this guy? He's getting pretty pissed off right now. I'm literally holding him back from jumping at the camera.
Literally.
He's ready.
How could you say this, Jesse?
I didn't say it. I think Miyamoto or someone said it like 4 or 5 years ago.
Some sort of Zelda game on mobile. And I guess you could argue that technically would be the next Zelda game. I don't think the Zelda team's actually making it.
No, I think it's like DNA or something.
But, I mean, you could argue that would be the next.
And the chat, they're like, no, I
would argue.
I don't know. I don't know.
That everyone hated that meme in the Fallout 3 text. Real quick, before we sign off, this question from Benjamin is something we can rapid fire real quick. Don't even have to justify it if you don't want to. But what is everyone's game of the year? Doesn't have to be actually nominated for game of the year or at the Game Awards, but your personal game of the year. And for me, it was Tunic. I love that game, even though apparently 𝗵𝗲 hated it, apparently in chat. But I adore that game. It's challenged me like no game has challenged me in years, which I love. What about you guys?
Mine might be controversial.
Okay.
Second Wind.
Second Wind. So the mod for Breath of the Wild? All right.
Not really surprised, to be honest. So I know Elden Ring's gonna win Game of the Year, which is cool. At least it should. In my opinion, it should win Game of the Year. Doesn't mean it was really my favorite game this year, though. Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Fair pick.
I honestly think
super fun.
Outside of the halved frame rate in the background, which I get why they did it, it was the correct choice to focus on the frame rate in the foreground. I'm fine with it. I think it's like perfect. I've never played a Kirby game better.
I think it's the best that Kirby has been for sure. Since maybe the Super Nintendo.
I keep thinking of criticism. I'm like, okay, the half frame rate in the background and nothing. Love it. It's like the perfect, fun, has challenge to it. For like people like, oh well, kid. Yeah, you're right. A kid could get through it, but also there's some challenge and stuff in that game, and it's awesome and it's fun, and it's everything I've always wanted Kirby to be. And I'm really happy with it. Like Sparks of Hope is right up there for me too, but man, I don't know. Kirby never gets the love that it deserves, so I'm giving Kirby love.
That's fair. And mine was almost Splatoon 3. I really, really love Splatoon.
Almost Splatoon 3.
It was almost Splatoon 3, but Tunic just barely nudges it out.
Tunic's good.
It's really good.
It's really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Super duper good.
Cool.
I haven't played Second Wind either, but from what I've seen of it, it adds a lot of really very cool stuff into it. So fair pick.
We wrapping up?
Yeah,
that should be it.
I'm just asking because my kids just came home from school. So.
Oh, yeah. Nate,
perfect timing then.
Before you have to go, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you? What your favorite one?
Nintendo Prime on YouTube, at Ninty Prime on Twitter. I think it's Nintendo_Prime on TikTok and Instagram. I'm not really sure. I've been just taking, like, if you're on my YouTube channel and like you watch my YouTube shorts, so that's the content I'm putting on Instagram and TikTok too. So you don't really have to follow over there to get that content. But some of you guys might not know that I do YouTube shorts. So I do a bunch of fun little Nintendo facts for YouTube shorts and stuff. So need to get some more Zelda ones out there though. I feel bad. I have a lot of Mario ones. I gotta get some Zelda stuff in. So what I should do is message Daniel and Jessie afterwards and be like, give me some really fun Zelda facts.
You got Zelda facts.
There's a lot. I'm sure you got, and like fun ones. Like, it can be funny. It can be really interesting, really cool. And I try to pull it off in 15 seconds.
Wait, who was someone? Soren made he came on a couple of weeks ago. He made the that Triforce percentage.
Triforce% run. Yeah.
And he did
cool
he did an Ocarina of Time trivia thing for us, and it was like a bunch of weird, crazy facts that I'd never even heard of or noticed before. So
yeah, that's what I mean. I want to get some really cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
like because I honestly
technical things.
I spend a lot of my day researching stuff for the shorts, and the easiest thing to find are like the Mario ones, which means the Zelda ones must be crazy because they're not as easy to find.
All right, I will send you a list of some cool stuff. But Daniel, everyone's really dying to know what's your favorite kind of pasta.
Rigatoni, actually. But that's not a joke.
Where can people find you?
Everything is at Capt Burgerson. That's CAPTBURGERSON. Links to all of my socials are actually in the description below. But make sure to go check out my YouTube channel. I actually have a little Zelda facts video dropping. It's finished. It's dropping on Friday. So there you go, Nate. Just there you go. You can source that. There's 5 shorts for you.
There we go. Right?
But I mostly make videos about Zelda dungeon design. So if you love Zelda dungeons, go check it out. I've got a playlist with more than 40 dungeon breakdowns. If you ever wanted to listen to a guy talk about a single level of a video game for 30 minutes straight, I am your guy. So go check that out. I also stream twice a week, every Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and Saturdays at 7 p.m. Pacific. And we are playing both Zelda on Wednesdays and Tunic on Saturdays. Also sometimes Splatoon. Actually, I think this Saturday I'm going to do Big Run for Splatoon 3 because there's a big event happening. So it's fun. You can join the game. You can join the chat, hang out, all that good stuff. I'm also here on Jessie's channel every week. So that's me.
All right.
What about you, Jessie? Who's Jessie?
I am Jessie. Earlier in the stream, we had the Geek Apprentice. All of her stuff is in the description below. All of Daniel's stuff is in the description below. We have Nate's stuff or Nintendo Prime's stuff in the description below. I'll add more links to it. It's youtube.com/Nintendo Prime or Ninty Prime.
Yeah, you added an @ to it, so your link in the description doesn't actually go to my channel. It's okay. I'll type it in the chat.
I'll fix it.
Oh, it does. I clicked on it. It goes featuring @Ninty Prime. I clicked on it. It takes me right to your channel.
Ninty Prime does. Sorry, the Nintendo Prime one with the hyperlink is what I meant next to it.
That one does not.
All right, I
also put it in the chat.
It's okay. It's not that big a deal.
Boom. It's in the chat.
All right.
I don't know why they're using these handles now, but it's a thing.
Yeah,
It's a thing.
I haven't.
I don't know what they're doing with them. Like, okay, it's another way to link to my channel. Okay, besides that, is there? I don't know.
It makes URLs easier.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it.
I feel like
you could already do custom URLs.
I feel like they're going to make like a Twitter sort of thing happen on YouTube at some point.
Oh, maybe. We'll see what happens to Twitter first.
Yeah. I imagine, Nate, you might be streaming the Game Awards. People can look forward to that.
Yes, I will be live streaming. So I'm going to actually be going up at noon Central Time on the 8th and streaming all the way to the end of that beast. A bunch of giveaways. If you guys ever attended a Prime Gaming Fest or an E3 extravaganza I've done, it's going to be kind of like that. So there'll be fun little things going on. Death wheels being spun where I might have to do hot sauce or other crazy things like do the DK rap or dance like.
Oh yeah.
Do the
Will Eric be there? I'm only watching if Eric's there.
Will be there for part of it, I believe, but not the entirety. So he won't be there during the day, but he'll be there before the Game Awards actually begins. And we do planned breaks and planned commercial breaks and stuff like that. When I say commercial breaks, it just means I'll be right back screen with music playing. I don't actually put advertisements in my commercial breaks. Usually it's planned around bathroom breaks where like my kids get home at a certain time, so I gotta get them all organized. So like, hey, I gotta step away for 10 minutes. And but yeah, it'll be a really, really fun stream. And even if you don't win anything, it's just cool to have you guys out there and just stopping by and saying hi. And I try to make these events fun, even when the event itself isn't always great. Mm-hmm. That's always my goal. Is like I want to make sure everyone who at least tuned into me had fun, even if the Game Awards wasn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
So. And you have a live stream tonight as well?
Yes, I stream usually Monday, Tuesday, podcast Wednesday, and again on Thursday. I didn't stream yesterday, but I will be live tonight around 8 p.m. Central as well. So,
all right, awesome. Everyone watching, please go check that out later on tonight. And until then, have a great day. Go eat some pasta or cheesecake, your choice.
Rigatoni.
Rigatoni cheesecake.
No.
All right, bye everyone.